This is the VTuber Anime Night Podcast. Anime Night Podcast. Yes, yes,
Mhm.
that's what we. That's what I.
Anime Night Podcast.
Yes, yes, where we talk about anime during some of our nights. It's
Yep.
morning for Asu and Suiran, but night sounds better.
Night sounds better.
I mean, it's your stream pending, so we'll go with the night.
Oh yeah, thank you, thank you. I have become meaningless thanks to Genshin downtime. Oh no,
No,
you still have meaning. Asa, you were isekai in your lore, right? Yeah.
Yes, I was.
Mm-hmm. So this.
Not was. I am. Yes, I am.
So this anime is appropriate to him. Today we are going.
And
oh, sorry. Go on.
oh no, I was about to say it's not lore; it's history. It's
That's
something
true.
that happened.
That's true.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It did happen.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
the lore of history.
Yeah, the lore of history.
Why are you dead?
So-
Again.
Wait, what?
Sorry. No, sorry. Just
A truck hit me. Oh, you're not asking me. I thought it was okay.
no.
I think Suiran's talking about her boss fight.
Yeah, I know. It's like no, I think it's like one of our teammate died or something.
Oh. So, what was I saying? Oh, right. So today we are going to be discussing that time I got reincarnated as a slime, episodes 1 and 2. I have not seen this anime before, and I watched the English dub. Asu and Suiren have seen the anime before. In fact, I believe Suiren mentioned that she's seen this 3 or 4 times.
3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I have.
So Suiren's very much a fan of this show. Asu, how much familiarity? Like, you saw the show going into it, right?
Yeah, I saw the show when the anime first came out, and I got hooked on it because it was a pretty good show.
Right.
But I still have not watched season 2 yet. But then season 1
should.
happened before I was VTubing, so I had a lot of time.
Although
And then-
granted, okay. Just let me add a little bit. Season 2 is actually not finished. We've only done the first half of season 2.
Oh.
Yep, it's still going
the
on.
second half
It's
is
still
actually
going on.
coming. It's coming out like technically next anime season. So like winter,
Like
no,
August, I think.
summer,
Fall. Yeah.
fall.
I think the
Summer,
the summer season started already because it's already June. Oh no, it's only started to be June. So yeah, summer should be the next one. Yeah.
Yeah.
In answer to your question
Where
about
is she?
when
Oh,
season
run!
1 came out, it
Sorry,
looks like
I got hit. No, I'm dead.
it looks like season 1 started in October 2018.
18. Yep.
Yeah.
I remember
And
that.
it ran through not including the ODAs, which I don't know what ODA stands for. It ran through March 2019.
So like just ODAs are just short anime, like not short anime, like sort of like omakes.
Oh.
Yeah.
They're not actually like the main story, it's just sort of like
they're
a
not-
fun side
They're not
stories.
exactly. Yep.
Mm.
They're more like what do you call that? Single video, like OVAs, original video animations. I mean, in the old days they call it OVAs, but these days because
that's
of
why I
the
was
whole.
confused, because I've heard of an OVA before, but I didn't know what an OAD meant. So I'm like, is that a different thing?
Yeah, because it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Only because nowadays they're no longer videos, right? They're DVDs or other things like that.
That makes sense. Although I feel like they could have kept the name OVA just as a legacy
Yeah,
name,
I
but it
know.
still makes
Yep.
True.
it does make sense that they updated it. I guess.
It would make more sense to call it OVA because more people know it as OVA.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. But yeah, OAD is basically original animation DVD, which is, like I said, kind of weird because you've gone through like almost over 10 years of OVAs, and suddenly it changed to like OADs because it's no longer VHS, and I was like,
well, it's
I don't know, you could have just kept it.
Thank you for visiting me. Would you like a cookie?
I'm done. Okay.
Congrats.
Okay, I can focus
Because
on this now.
technically-
Thank you, DD, for the follow. Thank you, and welcome to the stream. It's
Thank you for the follow.
it's kind of like how the phone app on your phone has is has a picture of like an old timey phone on it, like
Yeah,
with the
like the
receiver.
holder. Yeah,
Yeah,
this.
which looks like no phone that's out nowadays, but it's
No,
actually that might
it,
be a little
it's
inaccurate to
like
say that it's like no phone that's out nowadays, but it's certainly not
it's like the
common enough.
save logo.
Yeah,
It's like the save logo. The save logo is a disc. It's a floppy disk.
yeah,
But kids these days never even seen and or know what a floppy disk
Yeah.
is to know what that save logo is. But they always see it and they already know. Oh, that's a save logo.
yeah, exactly.
I like
Sometimes,
how Asu goes. Kids these days don't know floppy disks.
yeah,
It's like
A lot of kids
those
don't. A lot
young
of kids don't.
whippersnappers.
yeah.
Exactly. Get on my lawn.
Asu is the kids these days VTuber.
Kids these days, VTuber.
Yeah. So
Sadly, I have to agree with it. I mean, that's one thing though.
I think
I
a better
feel like
phrase would be the younger generation.
yeah. I feel
have-
like they can still keep OVA because in the end,
Yes.
what's in the DVD is still video files. You know, it's still video.
yes, this is true.
So it's like I never understood why they didn't just keep the OVA term.
Yeah, we call we call, doga or like just anime. We still call it video, right?
Yep, exactly.
Like
So
even
that part-
YouTube, we still call YouTube video.
Right.
I googled it up. Apparently, it started in 2008 when they start calling it OAD.
Oh.
Wow.
Wait,
I'm guessing-
2008?
Yeah, 2008
Man,
is
I
when
am
they
out
start
of the
calling it
loop.
OAD.
Man, that was
They
That was
should
13
call
years
it
ago.
OAB now.
wait.
Like they should call it OAB now.
Why OAB?
Original
OAB, oh,
anime
that's
Blu-ray.
Oh.
Blu-ray, right? that's why
Or-
that's why it comes out on
or-
us.
well, I don't know, because I mean, most people just use digital media now. So maybe
Mhm.
OADM.
Digital
So
media.
complicated
Yeah.
now. Anyways,
I'll just call it
Sorry.
OAF, original animation file.
Yeah.
original animation file. File.
Yeah.
All right.
Before we start discussing the anime proper, I did have one other quick question. Also, in relation to something Spanner mentioned about not minding spoilers, this discussion will be fairly spoiler light on spoilers because we're only discussing the first 2 episodes anyways.
Yeah, it's not gonna be the whole season, so
Yeah, exactly. Like we'll limit today's discussion to the first 2 episodes. So this might be a good kind of gauge to see if it's something
Jumping-
you're into.
like a jumping in thing. Like if you
Yeah.
if you feel like you like what you hear from our discussion, it might be like something that you want to check out.
Hmm.
It's available on Funimation for the US, I think,
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I watched it on
And-
Funimation. And okay, I'll hydrate.
and on Netflix for Asia.
Yes,
I don't
it's
know
Netflix.
where on Japan as well. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
How long is the stream gonna be? That is a hard question to answer.
We will end when we have nothing more to talk about. I think
Yeah.
that's it.
I mean,
That's how it would go.
I was kind of uncertain about how long this was gonna be, but I see we're approaching the 20-minute mark, and we haven't actually started talking about the anime proper yet. So
Now, to be fair, once we start talking about anime proper, I think we'll be quite prompt because the Onis haven't appeared in the first 2 episodes yet.
see, I don't know what that is, so I'll trust you on that.
Yeah.
But I did have one question before we start talking about the anime proper. So the
Mhm.
first season aired in like late 2018, early 2019. The second season, if I'm seeing this correctly, started in when? Second season
January
started
of
in
this year.
2021. So why like the 2-year gap in between seasons? Like
I think more COVID and production as well.
I think it all has to do with just the decision on the production company whether or not to make the anime and whether or not they find it viable or like popular enough that they can warrant a second season.
right.
Though actually, what I
Um,
heard, this was at the end of season 1, was that at the end, when season 1 ended, they already signed. The contract was signed for season 2.
Oh.
because the anime got super
It could be
popular when
like
it
it
first
could
came
be
out.
they had other like animes lined up in
Right.
Yeah,
the
that too.
So
That as
making.
well.
so they had to kind of fulfill other contractual obligations too. And as Roku
Yeah.
points
Yep.
out, this is faster than a lot of other shows. But I
I
guess
mean,
like coming from like a
the US
American
scene,
TV perspective, like
yeah,
downtime between seasons is practically unheard of on like the
because
North American
yeah,
side.
That's true. Yeah.
exactly. With American shows, a lot of them like season 1 is this year, next year is season 2.
Yeah,
With a
like
lot of Japanese shows, the seasons comes when the like it might not be a yearly thing.
right, right.
One example would be the
I
Toaru
think.
Index series, because season 1 and 2 was like close to each other, but season 3 was like I think 6 years apart from
Mm,
season 2.
Mm-mm.
it's
Mm.
interesting. It's it's
Yeah.
it's interesting that it works that way.
Hmm.
Yeah,
For
poor season
season
3.
3.
Yeah. Um.
It also
uh,
like not
mm,
always the case, but it also sometimes have to do with the author
oh.
or the
Yeah.
creator. So just as a background for Pending, and Asu probably knows this.
Mm.
The Reincarnated as a Slime was originally a web novel.
Oh.
It got really popular online, and
Mhm.
so the author signed a contract with a publishing company, so it turned into a light novel, which is basically just a fantasy novel
Right.
series, and from there it was then adapted into manga
Yep.
and finally anime. So
Hmm.
it went through the whole process of web novel, online actual novel, manga, anime.
Interesting.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Can I
Mhm.
can I make a really horrible comparison?
Yeah, go for it.
It kind of makes it like because I watch a lot of sports. It kind of the closest analogy I come to is like moving up towards the majors, like like getting into manga is like the AHL. Like before that, it was a light novel.
Yeah,
He was
yeah, yeah.
playing in like Reincarnated Slime was playing
Like
in the major
just
juniors,
like a district,
Close,
like
close, sort of
during the
close
web
enough.
novel was
and then
Um,
mhm.
a
I
district
think I
area
think the
first, then
next
later.
this, if you're talking about that, then the next step for Reincarnated as a Slime would be a movie.
Oh.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's true. That's true.
Well, that's like so like an anime would be like okay, now you're playing in the NHL, you're playing in like the majors, but then the movie would be like okay, you're playing in the Olympics now. You're
Yeah,
representing your
pretty much.
country against the world
Yeah,
Yes.
kind of thing.
yeah,
Yep.
pretty
Yep.
much.
Yep.
Close
Yeah.
enough.
I
Hmm.
think that analogy works.
Yeah,
I
I'm
think it
sure
works.
I'm
I
sure
agree.
light novelists and also manga authors would not like that comparison because
Probably not.
yeah, because it kind of unfairly devalues what they do, which is professional in and of itself. Uh,
I don't know.
Mm-mm-mm.
A lot of these days, though, because of how much light novels are adapted into anime these
mhm.
days, a lot of them go into authoring a light novel with hopes of it becoming animes. A lot of
In
them.
all honesty,
Hmm.
though, I really wish they would choose which light novels to
Yeah.
animate to turn into
Yep.
anime.
And not just turn
Because
everything into.
like there are some that's really good, and then there are some that's like, why in the world, you
Like you
know?
feel like it's kind of throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks.
Yeah, it's like
Hmm.
there was I'm not saying it's bad, but like I read the manga, and I was just
Mhm.
like, it's I don't w- it's not my cup of tea, and I found it was like sort of boring, but it's like
You're not talking about Slimer right now. You're
not
talking about yeah,
not talking about Reincarnated as a Slime, because I love that.
yeah.
But like because of the how popular the Reincarnated or like the isekai genre became. Well, no, the
Everything
smartphone
is
one was
normal.
pretty meh as well. But no,
Yeah,
I'm
the
talking about the
smartphone
one
one.
where the girl got reincarnated and then like
As a
she
spider.
no that one was weird too. But like, no, the one where she reincarnated and she like loved books and she couldn't read, and then she got sick because she
Oh,
couldn't read. And I'm
I
like,
remember that one.
I didn't remember that, but this actually kind of reminds me of like basically the first thing I wanted to bring up in like episode 1, which is,
hmm
and I gotta imagine this was generic for the time, but like
hmm
even more so now. And again, for context, I watched the English dub, whereas Asu and Suiren watched the original Japanese. But
Yep.
like during like the self introduction, we're skipping ahead of the opening scene, which was uh it was the scene with the village burning and stuff, which was
Oops, sorry.
it's actually a scene of the Second World War in Japan.
oh,
Mhm.
that's what
So
that was.
Yep.
Okay,
yeah,
I was
it was
gonna say
Second
that
World
scene
War.
was confusing because I wasn't quite sure how that connected to anything else. It didn't feel like it connected to the first or
It's
second
more
episode.
explained
That
in the
does
later
come in
episodes.
later. Yeah,
Okay.
in the later
Yep.
episodes that does get explained.
Oh,
But yeah,
okay.
the opening scene is a little confusing. I actually keep forgetting about it. But
Yeah.
the opening scene is a uh, a scene during the Japan, like Tokyo during the Second World War,
Mhm.
where I think it's Japan, where it was just like,
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
Japan. It's Japan.
American
Hmm.
Yeah,
planes were just
the
bombing.
bombing. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, bombing Japan, bombing Tokyo,
Yeah.
basically. And people were escaping, and fire was everywhere, and that was the start of the anime. And then we
Right.
we shift to the modern era with our
Yes.
main character.
And when we shift to the
Protagonist.
modern era, this is the point I wanted to make. I wrote down notes as I was watching it. Here's what I wrote down. Intro of main character couldn't be more generic. Self intro, literally the line "I'm just your average"
Yeah.
spoken. Though the one outlier is that he's 37 years old instead of a teen or in his
A
early 20s.
teenager. Yeah,
Which I do
he's
like.
actually he's actually a working adult reaching his 40s,
Yes.
which is very refreshing for
Yeah.
a lot of anime.
Yeah, exactly. I did like that
Surprisingly,
part.
though, for reincarnation animes, not really all that surprising.
I get
Not
All
actually
right.
you're probably right because like so like I get why even though it's super generic, I do get why like they do the like I'm just your everyday average like salaryman thing because isekai anime I think with some noteworthy exceptions at its heart is wish fulfillment anime.
Yep,
Mm.
yep.
So like I would imagine wish fulfillment anime appeals a lot more to
To people who has passed it,
yeah.
who has passed that time where they can redo things or something like
Yeah,
that. So it's like this
exactly.
is
Like you're more likely to want to do over in like your mid to late 30s than you are in like your teens or 20s.
yep, yep.
Yeah. If you'll give me
The
one
only
moment, I'm
ones.
gonna very quickly listen to the opening that you mentioned.
Yep, yep.
Mm-hmm.
The only one that I remember that has like adults is basically Tensura and Maria. No, whoever, something the evil. I
Yeah.
forgot the name of the girl. something the evil.
I feel like a lot
It
of
was
them aren't very like a lot of them don't give like specific ages. Like this one did, but
mm,
a lot of them you just kind of go based off of how they look, which is usually
Tanya. Thank you, Temal.
Tanya.
Tanya the
Oh,
evil.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a lot. So just sorry, a recap. Returning to the fact that, you know, the isekai genre is like not like a lot of it is adults being
Mhm.
isekai'd.
Mhm.
For example, the most recent one that is currently playing in the episodes are currently airing is called The Saint's Magic is Omnipotent.
Mm.
The
Oh.
actual main character, the female character, she actually gets summoned to the
Hey, J-Man.
isekai, and she's actually a working office lady.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh,
So
okay.
like as an office lady, she gets summoned. She doesn't even end up in a younger body. She's just summoned there. In
Oh,
her
so it's
current
just
age.
she herself.
Yeah.
Ah.
Mm.
Like she's like what 20 something.
Yeah.
Working
Mhm.
class basically.
Yep,
So
yep.
yeah, so she gets summoned there. Another like in all honesty, I think most isekai another one which I started watching but like I sort of stopped halfway through. It's called Mushoku Tensei. In
Mushoku Tensei.
Mushoku Tensei. Like a wait one second. Mushoku Tensei in English. Jobless reincarnation.
Oh.
Okay.
Jobless reincarnation. Is like the main character is literally a NEET at home being
Uh,
supported by his parents.
Yeah.
And his parents died, leaving only himself and
oh.
his well, like his parents died of old age,
Oh, okay.
basically.
Okay.
I mean, he's already
Not
an
any
adult
so
anyway, right?
he's like an
Yeah.
adult, but he just has no job.
Mm,
And then he got kicked out of his home by his siblings.
Okay.
Because they're like, well, you're like even when your parents die, you didn't notice because you were like just stuck in your room.
Oh my
And
god.
then and then he as is the isekai genre, got hit by a truck, and reincarnated basically.
Which,
Um,
to be fair,
yeah.
to Slime, did not get hit by a truck.
No, he got stabbed.
Yep. Yeah, he got stabbed.
He was
Yeah.
a little bit different.
Also, can
So and also he was actually more heroic kind of death.
although I did want to
Yes.
say, first off, even though like the main character, I criticized him for being generic. I did want to say, like, right off the bat, I did like him. He came off as very nice.
No,
The English
he's
voice,
definitely a nice guy.
yeah, the English voice that they gave for him was like very chill guy. Like,
Yes, he is
Mhm,
super
mhm.
chill.
sounded
He's
Um,
actually like
warm. Like,
he's actually like a nice guy,
Yeah.
even though he's
Mm.
he has what was it? He has no girlfriend.
yeah,
He's never had a
Mm-mm-mm.
girlfriend his
Can
whole
I-
37
and I
years.
was debating whether or not
Go
to
for
bring
it.
this up, but
Mm.
at least in the English version, again, I assume this is probably the same in the Japanese version. I don't know, but in the English version, he mentions like he says something along the lines of, "I've never had a girlfriend, but it's never really bothered me," and like as someone who doesn't really doesn't really see like doesn't really have the same kind of desire to be in a relationship as other
Okay.
people.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
That kind of spoke to me a bit, and in fact, he like he met up with his friend who was like see, who was dating this girl, and he was very like warm and friendly to them and all that. It's like, oh, I should compliment them. They seem like a happy couple and that kind of thing.
Yep.
And that all seemed really nice to me. And then it was a little bit undone when like he's dying. He's like, man, if I get another chance at this,
So-
I'm definitely getting a
so-
girlfriend.
So like if you don't mind, I'm just gonna listen to the Japanese version
Yep,
of that
go
part.
for it.
Just
Yeah, because I felt like
I mean, though, I think it's more like, okay, what he actually said is
okay.
that
You know what? I'm muting you two because I can't hear.
yeah, that's fine. That's
yeah,
fine.
yeah, I know,
apologize.
but
We'll
we
talk
still have
amongst
to
ourselves while you're
Yeah.
doing that.
exactly.
Yeah,
So anyway, from what I know in
In
the
that
anime,
recording-
basically, like what he said was he's not really bothered by it. I think he still
yeah.
has that desire or wanting a girlfriend, but he's
Mhm.
not like it's not like something of a priority to
I
him
guess
or
that's
his
fair.
life.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. And like, who knows? Like,
It's actually very close to
Okay,
how
I'm-
I feel about relationships
I'm
in
back.
general.
I'm
Mm.
back. I'm back.
Hey, welcome back.
So let me confirm this. In the Japanese version, it says so. He talks about himself how he graduated and is
Mhm.
working at like a fairly big name company, and like he's 37 years old. And the one thing if like if you're talking about his life, he's like, if you're talking about my life, the one thing that's missing would be a girlfriend. I've been single for 37 years, but I don't feel troubled because I don't have a girlfriend. So it's not like he doesn't want one. He just doesn't feel troubled not having one.
I see.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like,
So
yeah, exactly. Basically, he's not bothered by it, but it's like, it's not like he wouldn't want it.
Right.
It's not like he doesn't want a relationship. It just not like super bothered by the fact that he doesn't have one. That's all.
That's fair. That's fair.
And also like it does get into the
I think you're right.
Get
He's
into
content.
the fact that he's content. However, it does get into like when he meets his kohai, which is like his
junior.
And junior at work. And the junior, like shows him like it has a girl
showing
with
off
him.
the girlfriend.
Yeah, he's like, so he wants to show off his girlfriend, and like like
he has
was
that sort of
he was kind of mad.
He had like
he was kind of a little.
That didn't really translate.
A little bit.
In the English version, he
no,
wasn't
because
really mad about it. In the English version, he thought to himself, I wonder why he thinks something along the lines of, I wonder why he's coming to me. Does he want relationship advice? It's not like I'm qualified to give any. He says something along those lines.
No, like I think
that's
he does say that at some point. Hello, historical mustache. Also, he does say that at some point.
Historical. And also welcome June. Thank you very much for the follow.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry. He does say that at some point, but at first he's like, oh, so he just wants to show off his girlfriend. Is that it? Sort of thing.
See, this actually goes into like the visual aspect of the anime as well. When you see that he goes like, what is this? Is this a marriage consultation? That part, right? You can see that everything became black and white. There is that whole idea there is to show a little bit of like not anger per se, but like sort of envy. See, like, oh, this guy's just showing off.
I didn't
kind of thing.
Pick up on that at all, and I don't know if that's because it was lost in translation, or if it was just me missing it. Because I didn't notice that part at all. So that's interesting. And then after that he gets stabbed, and I was thinking, even though I'm really liking this main character, a kind of neat twist to this whole thing would have been if like his kohai was the one that had gone and stabbed, and then we switched viewpoints to the kohai instead. So like after going through like the intro of the main characters being like, I'm just your average guy and all that, and like everything setting up for him to be the isekai
Thank
character.
you for subscribing. As a reward, you get laser eyes.
So okay, sorry, I just keep going back. So having rewatched the part where you were talking about him like with the girlfriend, I think a little bit of it is lost in translation. The direct translation is correct. Him saying like, what, you're gonna come to me for like marriage advice or something like that. I think in the Japanese version, it was a little bit more of like a sarcastic comment.
Yeah.
The way he said it in Japanese was slightly sarcastic.
I didn't pick up on the sarcasm in the English version.
Because it's definitely more sarcastic in the actual original.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, you're coming to me for marriage consultation, something like that.
And thank you, thank you, Historical, for resubbing. Thank you very, very much.
So and then he like, and then his junior goes like, oh, I've booked us a restaurant, like, you like yakiniku, like you like yakiniku, right? I've booked us a restaurant there. And he goes, oh geez, like, this like such a good junior. I guess I can't do anything but just give them my like, my blessings. It was like he was literally planning to make fun of his kohai, like, he was like planning to like give him a little bit of a hard time.
I mean, I'd have to rewatch the scene to make sure, but I feel like that wasn't the case in the English version.
he didn't say it out loud, but it was implied.
Oh.
It was like
vocal
in his
tones.
yeah, it was in the tones.
Oh.
It was in the tones
See,
because when he says, "Oh, I guess I can't," like shogunai, sort of like, "Oh, fine, I'll give you my blessing," sort of.
Right.
So
Yep,
he
yep.
wasn't originally planning to give him a blessing, but like with his junior being such so well behaved and like even ordering
And thoughtful
going
for
to a
him.
going to a restaurant that he likes, he's like, I guess I'll have to give it to him, sort of thing.
Yep.
I was gonna rewatch that scene, but then I just realized there's no way for me. There's no way for
No,
me to do that because like you guys would be able to hear it on the stream.
That's true.
But I broke man.
I was about to say that skipping ahead to the part after he got stabbed, though, right? The junior did say that all I wanted to do was just show off my girlfriend
that was
to
in
you.
the English version too. He's like, the junior was like, I have a the junior says something along the lines of like, I have a confession. I just really wanted to show off my new girlfriend to you. And it was implied in that he meant it in the sense it's like, I just want to rub it in your face kind of thing.
Rub it in your face, yeah.
And the main character just kind of smiles and says, "I know, it's okay." And then he goes on to mention the hard drive.
The hard drive.
Yeah, the hard drive.
Which I was gonna bring up later because over the course, like as he's dying, he mentions like, you gotta destroy this hard drive twice. And and then after, skipping ahead a bit, after he dies, he mentions it another 2 times after he's been reincarnated about this hard drive.
Yeah.
So this this was very important.
Yes, it was very important to him. But the reason for that is he didn't want anyone looking into the hard drive because there's porno inside.
Oh.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
It's more comedic. It's more of a comedic sense thing.
I mean,
say because
look,
in Japan, right?
We don't know for certain. It was never like outright stated, right? Like,
it's never outright stated, but it's very much implied to the whole thing.
It could be that he is like a deep undercover CIA operative, and he never got the chance.
Unfortunately, that's not the case.
No.
Yeah, it comes out much later. Actually, no, not much later, but
wait,
like a little bit later.
This plot point?
Yeah, we return to this plot point. We go back.
Yeah, it comes back. It comes back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's a little bit. It comes back. His room appears in like a magical, like, whatever. But like it shows his computer, and it's like some sort of like R18, and he goes, no, that's not it. And he goes, throws it away. So
at the end of the day, they leave nothing to the imagination.
No,
nope.
It's porno.
Oh, okay. Well,
it's porno.
Actually, because right off from the start, because right off from the start, though, it's like, when I was watching it for the first time, and he says that whole, destroy my computer, and I was like, yep, I understand why.
Yeah.
Oh, does he?
That's the first thought I had.
Oh, that's what you said. I thought you were saying the Kohai.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I said.
Okay.
But no, the Kohai also, the way the way the Kohai replies, he totally understands why as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is heavily implied that it's because of 18 plus material inside his computer that he wants it destroyed.
Okay.
Yep.
Well,
it's actually a stigma in Japan as well, where once you die, you don't want your name to be shamed. That you want all these embarrassing stuff to be like gone.
Also, I think it's not only just the porn, but also because it's anime porn.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say that is actually more also because of the whole idea that it's anime porn. It's even more embarrassing for people especially in Japan.
Huh.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. We broke all your imaginations. I'm sorry. We
It's okay.
yeah.
Apparently,
It
there's no
is.
hope that he was a secret CIA agent.
No. But he
In the
becomes
end,
something much cooler later.
That's
So
yeah,
true.
exactly,
Also,
exactly. No,
related to that,
that's the thing. It goes into like how normal he is in real
Ace is
life.
just like Pending and Ace is just trying to cut into each other. I don't know what's going on.
Ace, you go
No,
first.
basically, I wanted to say that it's all basically like the whole anime is like how normal he is in real life, but his mindset is the same when he gets reincarnated, but how it changes in this different setting, how what he uses the way he's thinking, and but with his powers, what he can achieve, and
Right.
it's a very interesting way of see how the whole thing just turns out.
Yeah.
So
Um,
yeah.
I was gonna say like as he's dying. First off, the death scene, and I guess part of the reason why they threw in the whole hard drive thing is because even though he's dying, they wanted to take this death scene and make it fairly lighthearted.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I
Yeah.
kind of in relation to that, I loved the whole acquisition of like X and Y kind of thing. Like as he's making planets, he's getting all these skills. My favorite one was acquisition of the skill stab resistance.
Oh yeah.
Which
because it was like, oh, being stabbed hurts so bad.
Yeah.
And then it was like pain nullification acquired.
yeah, exactly. Pain nullification acquired. Heat resistance acquired. And I imagine like the Japanese voice, like for the English voice, they got like someone who sounded like they could have been doing like a Siri voice.
Oh yeah, and in Japanese it was
Japanese.
Estelle. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a mechanical robotic voice.
Yeah, I don't think they went full like robot for the English version, but it was someone who like sounded very like they didn't computerize the voice. It's just someone that sounded like it would have been someone who was a speech recognition voice.
Yes, it was
Like
pretty much similar in Japanese as well, where the voice the voice for Daikenja, the Great Sage, or the is fairly not robotic, but like emotionless and
monotone.
Emotionless, yes, monotone.
Yes,
exactly.
monotone is the correct word. And Japanese is it is that as well.
Yep.
Yeah,
but it gets very interesting because she is monotonic. Some of the conversations between Imuru and the Great Sage becomes fairly amusing.
Speaking of,
I actually love it when they talk to each other like that.
I'm enjoying it too. I like their conversations too. And speaking of like voice actors, is it also safe to assume that when he becomes the slime, he then they change voice actors at that point?
Correct.
Japanese one? Yes, I think so.
It was the same in the English, because for when he was like the 37-year-old man, they had a guy who sounded the part, like maybe sounded a little younger. I mean, who am I to talk about people that sound younger than they are? But
hey, people still don't believe my age when they hear my voice, so I totally get it.
Oh no, yeah. I want
He's not your age.
Yeah, I want to think that you're a day over 80, Asu.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, like you sound exactly like the 87 you are.
Yeah.
Exactly. Except I'm actually 142, but okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
He kind of gives off that sleepy, tired vibe, probably from overworking or something. Yeah, he does in the English version have like kind of like a sleepy, tired voice. I kind of attribute it to it being kind of like just a calming voice. Like it's just a very
he
chill
even
voice.
in the Japanese, he's fairly calming. Or well, rather than calming, he's like cool and collected, is what the Japanese had him.
And
cool and collected.
And then when he turns into the slime, they swap out that voice for a new voice actor who has a much a more higher pitched voice, like not super high pitched, but higher pitched, like someone that had a voice that I could believe would be like a a teen or like.
Mm.
I have
like
I have a
maybe even
question.
younger.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Is the voice actor male for
I'll double
Rimuru?
check, but I'm betting that it's a girl that's voice acting the slime.
Yeah, because like even in Japanese, it's a girl. Let me
Yes.
Yep.
check.
Iwiho Miho Okazaki is
Okazaki.
Japanese one.
So for
Miho
the
Okazaki.
English version, they got Brittany Karpowski.
Karbowski?
Yes.
Karbowski?
I
Yeah.
don't know if that's
Who-
male or female. No, I'm
Female.
kidding.
Yeah.
I know. I'm just
Who another character that she did an English voice for is Black Star from Soul Eater.
Haha.
Wendy in Fairy Tale.
Mira-san. Welcome.
Oh,
Rashai.
Hisako Arato from not Attack on Titans, Food Wars.
Hey Mira, welcome, Mira.
Mira-san, konba. Oh, she also did Mikoto Misaka from Railgun.
So,
nice.
A very, very like just looking through her credits, she's super prolific in voice acting. And just based on those credits, you can get a fairly good idea, even if you haven't heard her, what kind of voice she likely
can actually
has.
do.
Yeah, like where her voice range likely is. So
she definitely is the one that would play like the younger, almost lolly like voice.
Yeah, it's definitely a younger voice. It's not like the super high pitched.
But does she sound male?
I wouldn't say that she sounds male. Like if she was playing a young boy, I would entirely believe that. But hearing that voice without putting a face to it, I don't think it's a distinctly male voice. I think it's kind of more in the
like if you close your eyes.
Yeah.
If you close your eyes, you probably can know that it's actually more female, right?
I think for Rimuru, but that's the thing with like a lot of Japanese voice actresses who play young boys. They do sound boyish, and they it takes a while for you to figure out. Oh no, that's not a boy. That's a female.
That's a girl
playing a boy.
Yeah. Well, I tend to think a lot of the people who get cast to provide the voices of young boys tend to be female voice actresses.
Yes. I think it's the same in English as well as in Japanese, right?
I think so. Yeah. It makes sense because the
vocal development issues.
No, Brittany seems to have like a lot of range since she can play Misaka and then also play young voices as well. So
yeah, I would be
seems to have like a
interested in like hearing what her like just
vocal range is,
her bass voice
of their characters.
Yeah. Because
right.
I'm not familiar enough with English voice actors to hear her and immediately identify her voice.
Right. But anyhow, yeah. So either way, like I think Rimuru is styled to be slightly androgynous.
Yes.
A little more to the male side, but very, very much like male or female. He can be both.
Right.
But knowing us, the viewer, knowing his original life, we sort of identify him as male.
Yeah, we can't. Given that we originally saw him as a 37-year-old guy, we can't help but think of him as a guy, even though now he's a slime and it really has no gender at this point anymore.
Yeah, although some of his actions later on very much point him towards the male side of the spectrum. Yep. But anyways, yeah. So continuing on.
His own thinking itself is like a male side of thinking.
Yeah. By the way, sorry if I sometimes hide. It's because I forgot I did a button, and so and so like my up arrow does this. Right now. It makes more sense for other things, but I didn't think this through for this because as I'm looking through the notes of the episode, my tendency is to use like my cursor for that, and that is not what I want to do right now.
I see.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, so he he dies. He gains the skills. He finds out he's a slime now, and then we
Mhm.
do
He also just as a note to tell the chat,
Mhm.
he gains numerous skills out of everything that he says as he was
Yes.
dying.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
he felt his body was hot, he gains heat resistance. Then later on, he felt like he's getting colder, and he gets cold resistance.
By the way, there was one joke that I was kind of like, I don't know how I feel about this joke. That
Go
happened
for
about
it.
that time, and maybe this
Okay.
is. I don't know if this joke is any different in the Japanese version. So remember how I said like, oh, okay, he mentions that he's okay with not having a girlfriend and all that stuff, and then
is it about the dying?
yeah,
Oh,
when he's
Hoshokusha.
dying, he's like, man, if I could do this all over again, I would dedicate myself to getting a girlfriend or something like that. And then the Siri voice says, acquired the skill Predator.
Ah.
Mm.
So
Mm,
okay.
mm,
So what it is in Japanese? It's similar actually.
Okay.
So in Japanese he says like, oh, like I have no girlfriend. If I were to do this again, I would like run around trying to get all the girls I can.
Yeah. Actually, I think that's closer to what he said.
Yeah, but like in Japanese, because of the way the wording is used in Japanese. So let me just make sure I get the.
Oh, was it a play? Was it a play on words in the Japanese version?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes more sense. Okay.
But basically, it's not
So
sexual.
so he says "kurimakutte" is so like I will eat them all up basically.
Yep, exactly.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
in that sense, and that's why it says predator. Hoshokusha.
Yeah, okay, that's lost in translation.
Yes.
In a way that makes it sound so much more wrong.
No, because in English, predator word can be used as a sexual predator as well.
That's why I was like, wow,
And
I don't know how I feel about this joke.
Because of the subject that he mentioned, it can be taken that way. So it's that part was when I first saw it as well, because I wasn't really listening to the Japanese language when I first saw it. I was like, what the heck, are they serious about this?
Yeah, but okay,
And then,
that makes much more sense if it was a play on words.
Yes.
And then when I rewatched it, I was like, oh, so that's what that one really meant.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that I only rewatched it yesterday. So after all this time, I never really thought about it until yesterday.
I think in the direct translation, it's correct in that sense.
Yeah.
But I think that in terms of context, they sort of lose it a little bit there.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But
the connotation it becomes a different thing.
Yeah, because wordplay is like one of the hardest things to do through translation, because you can give a direct translation, but you're losing the wordplay when you give the direct translation.
Yeah.
So okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
So he died. He got all these skills. Now he's a slime. And then we do a little bit of a time skip, and I really liked the whole thing of like him explaining like, oh, he's eating them and absorbing all these plants, and he's like, I'm mostly just doing this because I'm bored. Like and I'm like, you know what? Completely fair. Like, what else are you gonna do right now?
You're a slime. You're a slime. You're in a cave. What else are you supposed to do?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
I mean, he doesn't even know where he is because he can't see technically.
Exactly. At first point, he hasn't been able to see it. That's true.
So it's not like he needs more motivation than, you know what? This is just something to do. It's here. I've been given no direction. I know I can eat these flowers. I don't know if it's doing anything for me, but I mean, there's nothing else here for me to do. So I was completely okay with that.
Yeah.
Although I did make the note here. Let me directly read what this note is. Seems pretty chill about being a slime and also being isekai in general. MC is clearly an anime fan. Only anime could have prepared him in this scenario.
Pretty much. Yes.
He is actually
an anime fan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's either a game fan or an anime fan. I think he's a little bit of both.
There's a lot of crossover there.
Oh no! He's also like a manga fan, if I remember correctly. But like
Mhm.
basically, he's just like a hidden
He's an
nerd.
Yeah.
he's an otaku,
He's
but
like,
He's an
I'm your
otaku.
he hides his
everyday
otaku-ness. Yeah.
otaku. I was gonna say your everyday
Yeah.
weeb, but I guess weeb would be the incorrect term given that he is
Yeah.
He's
Japanese.
Yeah.
He's a functioning otaku.
Yeah,
He's a
that's-
socially functioning
Not-
otaku.
Yeah, that's true.
There you
He
go.
He's not
seems
a
like-
neat.
He seems like okay in social situations. He has
Exactly,
a good
exactly.
which I do appreciate. Like at least they didn't go for like the very stereotypical portrayal of what an otaku is.
Mhm,
Sure, yeah.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
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 I mean,
So
he has a really good job. His
Yeah.
job when he was alive was actually a pretty good position.
Yeah.
He has like kohai who respects him.
Yeah. It seemed
So, yeah.
like he had like clearly there were things about his life that he wished were different, and I mean, who among us doesn't have things that they wish
Yep,
were
yep.
different? But like all in all, his life seemed okay. Like there wasn't anything like
Mhm.
horribly wrong with his life.
Yeah.
Which
So basically it's a normal everyday
Yeah.
your average Joe sort of life.
yeah, exactly. It's playing into the wish fulfillment thing. Like
Yeah.
it's a person that you can put yourself in the shoes of, and like for half an hour pretend, yeah, this is this could happen to me.
I gotta also mention about there is this thing in Japan
Mhm.
where they say like if you stay a virgin till you're 30 years old, you become a
Mm.
wizard.
He mentions
So-
that in the anime too. He
Yeah,
mentions
That's actually a thing
And I think
that like a lot of
he-
otaku
There's
There's
sort
actually
of
a
like
manga
mention.
about that.
Yeah.
he mentions that, and he
Yellow.
mentions that at 40 he would become a sage. So that's why he got
Yeah.
the ability sage.
Stage, yeah.
Yep,
yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on from that. I guess that originates from Japan. Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It did. It was
Yes.
it was something that otakus back then trying to trying to how you say like explain that it's okay to be a virgin or something. I don't know. Back in the old
Fine.
days.
Mm-hmm.
Being a sage sounds kind of cool, though. Yes, it does.
It does
yes,
sound
it does.
Yep.
cool. Yeah.
It does sound cool.
Mm.
Yeah. By the way, so I mentioned we've already done some English dub to the original comparisons, but I actually
Mhm,
wrote down specific parts where the English dub said something that I kind of want to know what the original translated version was, and I wrote
Right.
down timestamps for these. So the first
Go for it.
first one is roughly 11 minutes 20 seconds into the first episode. And this is I think the context of it is like the Siri just told him that he can like eat up gems and whatnot to make potions and stuff.
Right. No, he eats the grass to make potions.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So he finds out that eating all this stuff with magical properties actually like will do something for him. Like it's not just to stave off boredom. This actually has function too. And in the English version, his response to that is, and I quote, "Awesome sauce."
No, he definitely didn't say awesome sauce.
So I can't. I wonder what the Japanese there was. If you could,
Hold on, let me
Little
get
ones.
to that part. What's the timestamp again?
11 minutes 20 seconds. It might be slightly off from that because Funimation does like
Okay.
a short intro thing at the beginning of
Says
episodes.
Okay, due to prolonged contact with high density of magicules, extremely valuable item.
Awesome sauce, exactly spelt exactly like you said, Plublight.
Where was the part that he made? Here we go. One reason is I could use it when I need it in the future. This is after that he shows all the bottles.
I can't remember if it's like after or before, but it's in that range.
Oh, he eat
Okay.
those herbs,
So
right?
I think he like I think what in Japanese it says he just says naruhodo.
Oh yeah, that's all it said.
They
That's
translated
Naruhodo.
Naruhodo into awesome sauce.
Awesome sauce.
Like I think like so he says like, oh, so that means that if I eat this I can turn them into potions, right? And then
Naruhodo.
the sage goes, correct.
Mhm.
And he goes, naruhodo. And so which is basically I see.
Yeah, like
And
I
he
see
just
or
eats them all.
understand or what not.
Yeah.
So wait, did he like have like any kind of special inflection or something when he said it to lead them to
Nope.
be like
It was just huh.
that was
sort of
that
like-
was just the scriptwriter being like, you know what? I'm gonna flex.
We're
a
just
little
gonna
here.
put awesome sauce.
We're just gonna put some like modern vernacular in
Yeah,
here.
all I actually just played it as well. He just said like Naruhodo, just like that.
Naruhodo.
Mhm.
Okay.
Like nothing to say like, like
I think it was
Naruhodo. Nothing awesome.
it
on
was I think it was another one of those just stave off boredom things for him.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
It was-
and he
Yeah.
does mention that later.
I see.
Like he's like, I still don't know if I'm ever gonna need these, but it's something to do. And have a
Yep.
good have
Good
a
night,
good
Timon.
night, Timon.
Good night,
Would you
Timo.
like a cookie?
And also, Jake, thank you very much for following. Thank you.
I feel like the person who wrote the script for the dub version is impressionable back in the late 2000s or
Yeah,
something.
they wanted to add
Or
like,
they
their
use-
little modern flair to it.
Yeah.
I
Or
don't
else
think
they put
awesome
awesome
sauce is very modern at all. I
No,
think
that's why I
it's
say late. No,
No, I
that's why
don't
I
think young people these days will say awesome
no.
sauce at all.
I know. That's why I said late 2000s because that's when the
Right.
awesome sauce was big.
Oh, I see.
But nowadays nobody would use it. Not in the 2010s
Yeah,
or 2020s.
I don't think anybody uses awesome sauce anymore.
I'm not familiar
Yep.
with that.
That was like
either.
during the days of Scott Pilgrim
Yeah,
back in 2007,
I
2008.
feel like that's one of those. Well, you know what? I was never cool, so who's to say? But I feel like that's one of those things that was only ever said ironically.
No,
I did use it ironically, but more like just making fun of the kids who say that because I
never
was already
used it.
Yeah.
yeah,
Never even
because
used
I was
it.
already
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that line stuck out to me. It's like I have to know. I have to know what
Yeah.
what led to them putting that in.
No, I can actually tell you I do have younger friends back then in the late
who would
2000s
say
Art-
awesome sauce.
art-
who would
Art-
actually say awesome
artistic-
sauce.
Sorry, what's weird?
Artistic licensing
Yeah.
caused
Yeah,
the
artistic
awesome
licensing.
sauce.
Yeah,
Yes.
yep.
Artistic licensing absolutely caused the
I had
awesome sauce.
friends who was like I was back then I was already late 20s, but friends who were just like early 20s or in the 18, 19 age range.
Mhm.
They would say awesome sauce because that was like the edgy thing to say or some I don't know, kids.
Anyways,
Dude.
again, Asu goes kids. Here is proof that he is once again way too old.
Yeah,
for
I am
this.
way too old. Yeah.
Yeah.
The way not the speech anyway. The kid's speech. I'm just
Hence
whatever.
Kids.
Whatever you want to do.
Hence Asu's history revolving around being isekai'd.
Yes.
Yeah. He,
I'm just like
he is-
Rimuru.
he is the correct
Right.
age for it.
Wish
Anyways,
fulfillment,
continuing.
That's why.
Yeah, continuing.
Continuing onwards.
So from there, like he's eating the stuff. I wondered at this point, and don't answer this because like it might come up later. But at this point, I was wondering like, does his stomach have limits? Because
No.
okay,
No,
So-
no limit.
yeah, because it's like, man, this seems OP, which again is not out
It
of
is OP.
character for isekai anime for the hero to
Exactly.
be
It is OP, but like I said, it's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think you're misunderstanding the idea. Like I know he does call it a stomach, which like sort of
Well, he kind of he calls it a stomach, but he also calls it. I think at one point he refers to it as like his slime locker room. Like I know it's like a dimensional
That
vortex
is-
kind of thing.
oh strange.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm,
So
I think
so
in the English
basically it's
version
like
at
your
one point,
void.
It's literally called a locker room. So
That is the strangest thing. Okay.
yeah,
So yeah,
A
basically
locker room.
I
it's
feel
a-
like
it's- it's another dimension created from the skill predator.
Mm. Yep.
That basically just keeps things and also sort of digest. Like it can digest things, or it can absorb them and analyze them, and he can keep it. He can keep the things he digests, or he
Sort of
can
storage.
yeah, he can, but he can also like separate, like he can dissolve them if he wants to. So it's a choice.
Okay. I'm trying to remember if they mentioned that, because that's going to come up later. If they establish that rule that he has the option but not the obligation to dissolve. I can't remember if they mentioned that in the English version, because that does come up later.
It does get a little bit complicated as things go on.
Yeah.
With the predator skill,
Right.
it gets a little gray and a little fuzzy on like what it can really do.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
but you know.
And from there, like, he ends up starting to sink in the water. I can't remember why exactly he fell in the water.
He just literally, because he can't see, so he rolled down the hill.
Oh, right, that makes sense. Yes.
Yeah. Basically, he accidentally fell into the water without knowing there's water there.
Yeah, and then he's like wondering if he's gonna die again. He's like, he mentions like, I can't breathe, and then he says, "Wait, could I even breathe to start with?" Which I loved. Although that great line is somewhat undone by the art in this scene, because even though he realizes that he was probably never breathing, they still show air bubbles coming from him.
I think it's not him breathing air bubbles. It's more like the bubbles that went with him, the air pockets that went with him as he sunk.
Okay.
Yep.
It's not him breathing out.
That
makes sense.
I see. That makes sense.
It's part of the splash that followed him as he sunk in. I think.
Okay, that makes sense. And then I wrote down, because afterwards the way he figures out how to get out of the water is like he can like kind of use the water to absorb water and then kind of expel it to like kind of propeller himself out. He gets way more speed than he needs. He ends up hitting a rock. He takes 10% damage, which establishes that he can take damage. I wrote down, so I guess there are some stakes, and then I just thought I could really go for a steak. But I didn't have a steak. So that part is sad.
Okay.
Yeah, and that puts him into contact with the first like character in the show post isekai other than him, which is the dragon.
Yep.
And
Veldora.
Yeah, who I love.
Veldora is awesome.
Yeah.
Let me first of all comment on the relationship between Veldora and Rimuru being the most awkward case of bromance I have ever seen.
I called the dragon at one point. I said that the dragon is Fear Dere.
Yeah.
Fear Dere?
Or sorry, no, this was to Rimuru. Rimuru was Fear Dere, because Rimuru at one point says, "It's not like I'm scared."
Yeah.
In relation to the dragon,
Fear Dere.
giving him vision on the like condition that Rimuru not be scared of him. So,
Right.
So Rimuru was like, it's not like I'm scared of you or anything, Maka. So, yeah.
Was that what they said in Japanese too? I'm very interested.
Well, I mean, I'm paraphrasing that part. Although that being said, I do have like some direct quotes.
Okay.
That I from this scene that I was wondering if you could let me know if this is the same in the Japanese. So at one point, Rimuru refers to the dragon as Baldy, to which Baldere says, "You dare call me Baldy?" And I'm wondering.
I think he did say Hage.
I think he did say Hage.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like, can you give me the timestamp for it?
Roughly 14 minutes.
Okay.
I have one more.
Yeah, he called him Hage. He actually goes like, "Mo, say Hage."
So
Hage is Baldy.
okay. So that is an accurate translation to what happened, which makes sense. Baldy is fairly specific, but I was just like, that's kind of funny. I wonder if it's the same in the Japanese,
Yeah.
especially because like
No, it's
I
quite
assume-
funny that he calls him Baldy since he can't really see him at this time.
Yeah, exactly. And I wonder if like in the Japanese version, I'm assuming they gave the dragon a booming voice as well.
Yep,
Yeah.
he did.
That makes sense.
Sorry, what?
A booming voice for the dragon.
Oh, yeah.
The Japanese version they did.
Yeah.
They gave a
He has a very large voice. I think more than anything, I think you sort of find out later, but it's not so much as speaking in terms of voice. It's like telepathic.
Oh,
Mhm.
right. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense later on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So both Rimuru and Veldora like spoke telepathically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because at this point, Rimuru didn't know how to speak.
Correct.
Yeah, he doesn't have a voice yet.
And also
At least not with his slime body voice anyway.
at 16:10, at 16
Mhm.
minutes 10 seconds, Rimuru that's a rough timestamp, but of course again, Rimuru says bummer alert.
Bummer
alert?
alert.
Yes. Which I have to assume is like the
What was he replying?
I
what
can't
was he
remember. I
talking
wish I had
about?
written more context to that. I don't remember.
Okay, I'm checking out around the area right now where he's like
I think
he's finally gotten vision.
right.
This is the part where he finally got vision. He can finally see.
Yeah, the translator was a rad guy. But yeah,
I think it's the part. I think the part where he's actually like looking into the water and seeing that he actually is a slime. And goes,
yeah. I think you're right. He says something
Oh.
along the lines, "Oh, so I really am a slime. Bummer alert." Something like
yeah,
that.
he doesn't say that.
Oh.
He just goes like,
He-
"Oh, yappari ore slime datte ne." He just says like that.
Yeah.
So
Just says, yeah.
I guess it took less time to say in English. It's like we need to fill this void somehow.
Which I think is really strange, just considering that you don't have mouth flaps for Rimuru.
Yeah.
So like he didn't really need to add that.
Yeah, you could have just had a moment of
Yep.
quiet there or something.
Because what
Yeah.
he said was like, I'm turning on the subtitles. The subtitles put it so I'm a slime after all. That's what the subtitles in the Netflix version says.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could have just easily said, "So I really am a slime." You know,
what?
that's
They-
all.
Yeah,
No.
you can use your tone of voice to show disappointment. You don't need to put in bummer alert.
Like he could have even just, "So I really am a slime." Oh.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Like
But-
I said, "Aw," kind of thing.
Yeah.
What is this bummer alert?
Yeah,
What the heck is that?
It's a
I'm-
bummer
okay.
alert.
I mean, I
Honestly,
never heard
yeah.
anybody say that. I mean, at least awesome sauce, I hear people say it, but
yeah,
bummer alert? What the heck is that?
yeah.
No idea.
There's
No
another one that I
idea.
didn't put context for that happens like a minute later where
Mhm.
where one of them says shabam. And
Bam!
yeah, and I wish I had put down context to that. I literally just in the notes here wrote shabam at about 17 minutes 38 seconds. That's not
I'm
so
gonna
helpful.
assume.
17 minutes
this-
38.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is the part where he finally found out that Valdora is actually a dragon. That was hilarious.
Yeah. So yeah, the translator was clearly having some fun with this script. Also, there's a part just before that,
Mhm.
where Beldora asks Rimuru, "It's like, are you not a unique?" And then Rimuru says, "I honestly don't know what that means." And then Beldora goes on to give him like a definition of the word unique, and I loved that so much. Like, yeah, I don't think it was actually meant to be played for comedy, but I loved that so much.
I do not see the part where where Shabam would fit in.
Yeah, I'm gonna check something. Okay, so let's see. Because because one thing that occurs to me is I might be able to. Okay, here we go. So the exact line is, because what I've realized is I can get around the fact that I can't actually watch it right now by putting on the Funimation version, muting it so you guys can't hear, and therefore there's no copyright infringement. And then have like the subtitles, because the subtitles are just directly repeating what the Funimation is. So here's the Shabam line. The truth is, I used to be a human. Then I got stabbed to death, and shabam! The next thing I knew, I looked like this.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that scene. It definitely doesn't have anything that's. It's basically just him saying like, "I used to be a human, and now I'm being reincarnated to this."
So there's not even like Rimuru doing like a sound effect or something.
Nope.
Huh. I thought maybe it was like they did the Japanese voice actor did like a sound effect that has like no literal translation, so they just threw in a shabam, but I guess not.
Give me one moment. Let me hear that.
Okay.
And then I'll tell you.
Okay. Also, while Sweetren's doing this, are we discussing season 1 or season 2? Season 1. And also, hello, Commander Com. We're discussing episode 1, season 1 right now.
Episode 1 and 2 only.
Yes, that's what's on the agenda for today.
Okay, so what Rimuru actually says is like, I was originally human, but I got stabbed and died, and when I realized I was in this form, is what he said.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. So there was no like he didn't do any sound effect for Flare or anything.
Nope.
Okay, so that's all English version. Okay, good to know.
That's all the English version.
Yeah.
That's shabam.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So. Oh, okay, Commander Com.
Watch the Japanese.
Well, I mean I do like watching things in English just because it's lazier for me, and like I don't have to always look directly at it and stuff. But of course you can speak Japanese, so you don't have to make that sacrifice.
Watching Japanese.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to only speak English. Like I literally learned Japanese from anime.
You gotta teach me that someday.
It's not about like, okay, so having English dub, it is easier, I agree, for most people who can who prefer not to have to look at subtitles.
Read the subtitles, yeah.
Right.
But I think very often you'll start catching words that you understand, like you'll start catching words that repeat themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you listen to it and the more you read the subtitles along with just listening to it, you sort of catch, you sort of start being able to understand what this word means or what this phrase means. And slowly but surely, I think you end up being able to just move away from the subtitles because you're understanding words more and more.
That's fair.
Like that's how I started learning Japanese. You start picking up a couple words here and there, and then like slowly your vocabulary builds without you realizing it because you've watched so much anime.
That's pretty much how I learned as well, by seeing the Japanese subs. I kind of like match what's said and the Japanese sub here and there,
English
but
subs.
not absolute. Sorry, the English subs here and there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I also sort of like you can't really just like see an English sub and assume like that's the word, because sometimes they do change it around to for better context.
Mm-hmm.
I never.
But there are moments that. Sorry?
So I never did that. I was relying solely on English subs and just Japanese, and then you.
I wonder if it
makes
helps any
sense.
that that you
No, that's what I'm
were
saying.
already you would have already been, I want to say, duolingual. Like you already spoke 2 languages at that point.
Being bilingual.
Maybe,
Bilingual, yeah, that's the word I
maybe,
was looking
yeah,
for. Because it kind of gives you maybe a bit.
Possibly,
better,
I can't say for sure whether or not that would
yeah.
be the case.
Yeah, I don't
Same
know.
But yeah.
here because growing up already bilingual, maybe it's easier for us to catch things.
Mm-hmm.
So I've watched a lot of anime and I've picked up a few phrases, but I'm still limited to only a few words. I think more than anything. Okay, so I don't know if you guys know a YouTuber by the name of Dogen.
Dogen.
He's Dogen. He teaches Japanese, or he teaches Japanese pronunciation.
Oh.
He's, I
He
think,
doesn't actually teach
American
Japanese
living. I don't know
in
if he's
Japan.
American or Canadian. He's living in Japan. Yeah.
Yeah. But he suggests for people to watch the same show or watch the same episode even over and over and over and over and over again.
Yep.
To the point where you can just copy what people are saying.
Yeah.
In order to learn. I never did that. I was then again, I spent a long time just watching anime with nothing else in between.
Right.
Being a lonely dragon goddess living by herself.
Right.
I had nothing else to do but watch anime and had no actual other conversation with humans, people,
I can.
other than watching anime. So it was all I know.
Wait, Mira-san, you know him, or you know about him?
But yeah, so yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I sort of absorbed quite a bit more of the Japanese, I think. I've done practice with English subs than Japanese raw. Yeah, that's how it does work that way too.
That makes
but
sense,
anyways,
yeah.
Exactly.
Sorry. Back to the anime. My bad.
Right.
No,
I like it. Was an interesting.
Watch the anime Japanese version.
It was an interesting discussion.
Tangent is a
tangent,
good tangent.
I like the
Sorry.
tangents. No, tangents are fine.
Yeah.
Tangents are good.
Yeah. And
That was a good
sorry.
tangent.
Yeah.
On one more little bit, I prefer the acting of the Japanese over
Japanese
the English
voices. Most of the time, I feel like the acting in the Japanese one. I feel like this is true for a lot of cartoons where the original voices have better acting because that's what it was intended to be.
Yes, original voices make it easier to I think it's the same. If I were to watch a SpongeBob in Japanese, it would seem very weird to me.
Exactly.
So I think being able to watch things in the original language makes it much more authentic.
That makes sense.
Because mainly because the voice actors are acting that scene for the first time, whereas the other way, the dubs, they're already watching it and then they're dubbing over it. So it's it loses some of the original flair of actually putting out that action for the originally.
I think more than that, I think it's to do with nuances of that particular language.
That as well, yeah.
Right, like it was written with certain rules of the language in mind, like the whole thing we were talking about before with the play on the word predator. Things like that.
And also even before with the him wanting to make his junior suffer a little bit before forgiving him.
One as well,
that was it was very much in the tone of voice and in the way he said certain lines that can't present itself in an English translation, because I think the actor just got the script and didn't actually have the context.
Yeah. I wonder. Yeah, I wonder if that's the case. Like how much prep they give for them.
I don't.
Yeah, I'm not
That's
sure.
a good question. But anyways, sorry about that.
But I also grew up in the days of horrible English dubs.
Oh yeah, dubs have
That's true.
have grown leaps and
They
bounds.
they have gone much better.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But back in the days of the 90s and all that, there is never a single
Well,
good dub.
you also had the famous Malaysian dub of Dragon Ball.
Yeah, exactly. That as well. I mean, basically any
With
dubs was just bad.
The big green dub.
Yeah.
Anyways, sorry.
Okay.
My apologies for going on another tangent.
no.
It's
So
okay.
It's no
let's go
problem.
back
It's no
to
Well,
Tony.
right now we are at
educational tangents is good.
yeah, exactly.
The strange bromance between Dragon and Slime.
Yeah.
Dragon and Slime,
So during that bromance, yeah, exactly, Roku. Tangents are fun too. During that bromance, the dragon does mention that occasionally there are others from other worlds who come here, which is interesting. He said he does make mention of like he hadn't heard of anyone that came here through the path of reincarnation specifically, but
Yes.
but he does make mention of like the
Other
idea that
isekai.
yeah, the idea that isekai, like the protagonist is not the only
Forced to be isekai.
yeah, which
basically.
I think is a very important thing to establish at this point because it gives
Yep.
it gives Rimuru direction. Like now he has people to find, and it also gives the possibility. And again, I haven't gone far enough into the anime to know, but like if I was the one plotting this out, very likely what I would have done is I would make his central adversary someone else who had also been isekai'd and was just as OP as him to kind of balance the scales. The anti-Rimuru. So I'm interested to see if that's the direction we're going to end up going in.
So I think not even Asu would know, and nobody who just watches the anime knows.
Because the anime is not far enough in there yet.
Yeah, the anime is not far enough in to have the actual antagonist. Like not even I guess like not exactly final antagonist, but like just
right.
Yeah, because so just so you know, in terms of volumes of novels, there are 17 volumes at this moment.
Wow.
The anime I think covers like the first 3 volumes. No,
and that's
I think
that's including season 2.
No, season 2 I think goes up to. Give me 1 second. I'll be really quick. Let me double check.
Oh yeah. We should avoid getting too heavy into spoiler territory.
No. I'm not gonna say spoil. I'm just gonna say how far season 2 is in terms of the novel.
Okay.
So season 1, I just checked online.
Thank you.
I just checked online. Season 1 is up to the end of volume 4. It says here. But it skipped 1/3 of the light novel for volume 3 and half of volume 4.
Interesting. And did you have a good stream, by the way, Blaze? Thank you very much for coming here.
That is all I will say. There is no spoilers in what I said there. And people going like, oh, now I know which volume it ended, though. That means that you read the book. So what? Did you spoil yourself already?
Sorry. So yeah, book 6 or 7 is where
season 2.
Season 2 is at.
Okay, so
there's quite a bit more to go.
Yeah, there's plenty of story left. There's plenty of
story left.
17 volumes currently.
Is 17 volumes currently. I think still ongoing.
Okay.
No, that's a novel.
The novel is still ongoing now.
17 books in the novel. Okay.
Yes.
Yep. So being a novel, one book can cover like a lot of parts in the anime.
Yeah.
Right.
Again, as usual, novels are more detailed than like anime and manga tends to skip out a lot of interesting things. But
cool.
So anyway,
I'll be right back. Hold on a second. I'll be right back. You guys go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was just I guess the next thing I was gonna say, and this is in relation to your comment about the awkward bromance. I really loved how desperate for friends the dragon is.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Pleblight. You thought the novel finished? I think it's the web novel. I have to confirm whether or not the light novel is finished or not, because yeah.
The light novel is based on the web novel, right? So
yes.
So the web novel's finished, then the story is finished, but then the light novel might still be catching up, and then the manga has to catch up after that, and then finally someday the anime. I also kind of wonder if it's kind of like a game of telephone going on, where like the light novel's being based off the web novel, and the manga's being based off the light novel, and the anime's being based off the manga. So like certain things change, and they slowly change more and more the further away you get from the source.
So yeah, so it says the light novel is still currently ongoing. Volume 18 will be published in Japan. Oh, so volume 18 is already out. Sorry, my bad. So it's at volume 18 right now.
Oh, okay.
But it's still ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the web novel might have finished. So web novel, the very original. But yeah, I think I've read I've actually read the light novel.
Mm-hmm.
Not to its conclusion, but far enough to be like almost concluded. And it deviates. So the light novel and the web novel is actually very different.
Oh, that's interesting.
There's a lot of changes to it. And it got like a lot more details in between.
I guess it's more of the author having like a change of ideas as he goes along or something.
The light novel is also written by the author, right? So the author
correct.
Okay.
Correct. And also like where I am at the light novel, there's a very interesting turn of events in terms of people reincarnated and people summoned into the world. So you'll learn that there's like several types.
This
like so there's like
spoilery, is
no. It has been mentioned. It has been mentioned in episode 2, episode 1. Episode 1, where like the dragon says he's never seen anyone who reincarnates, but there are people who are from other worlds, and he met like who are brought in from other worlds. And when he says that, he says people who are summoned.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we understand that summoning from another world, summoning people from another world is possible, and that's the main source of like isekai people is from summons.
Right.
So there's no like Tensei, which is like reincarnators.
I see. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The dragon also mentions the blessed hero who, if I remember correctly, the blessed hero is the one that sealed the dragon.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I assume we're gonna hear about the blessed hero.
The hero does get mentioned quite a few more times in the future. So yeah, you can look forward to that. Although just so you guys know, and just as a very quick in case people get confused, Shizuku-san and the hero are different people. They might seem similar, but they're different. In case you're wondering later on in the storyline, because you do get like
Shizuku.
I don't think
has not appeared
yet.
No, hasn't appeared.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, Shizuku and the hero are different.
I was trying to remember whether she appears here.
Yeah. they're separate people. I like the image. Her I think you see her sort of like her back silhouette in episode 1. And
actually, you see her in one part of the anime of the episode as well, but I don't want to say it for the spoiler.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna bring up something related to that once we get to episode 2, I think. But
And but yeah, it's not a spoiler. I think it's not a spoiler, but it's very easily confused that Shizuku and the hero is the same person. They're not.
Right.
Just throwing it out there.
Yep.
Kind of. So I'm trying to remember the dragon, because I didn't write it down here. Oh no, okay. Yeah, okay. So this plot will carry into episode 2. So I wanted to mention one other thing that happens at about 21:40 minutes. Okay. There's no way. This has to be more artistic license. There is the line that Rimuru delivers. This is my life now, or should I call it slife?
Nope, he definitely did not say that.
I think he did. I think he said something similar though.
Does he? Does he do a play on words in
Give me 1 second.
Okay. Yes, life, like life, but
Oh,
with
yeah,
an
yeah,
S.
yeah.
Is it? Did he say? Was it before he asked the dragon to be his friend, or after?
No. This during the touch.
Yes, I
During
believe
the-
so. Yeah,
during
it's
the
21 minutes 40 seconds in. I believe this is like the last thing to happen before we cut to the hard drive going in the tub.
I got to that part. In Netflix is around 21:35.
Right.
Because he says, "Kono jinsei o nante sa, yeah, surai se," is what he said.
Did I say? Yeah, slime life
Yeah.
is basically what he said.
Okay.
Yep, slime life.
So
Surase.
the
Yeah.
English
So
is not that far off. They just decided.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
They decided
to
make
combine
a
it
little
to
silly.
life.
Yeah.
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 That's funny though.
In keeping with this this translator's like love of like I don't know weird
Of
references.
radical tubular
Yeah.
words.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remembered he did say something similar to slife. Or as close to slife as a
As close,
Japanese
yeah.
translation can get.
Okay. Well,
I mean,
it's
in a sense, it's kind of more fun that he went with Slife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because if he goes like Slime Life, it's kind of and not that there's any trouble with the voice actor saying Slime Life as well.
Yeah.
But it's not really a play on words per se.
No,
It's just like
I agree. I
Yeah.
like slife. It's
Mhm.
fun.
It's a slice of life.
Yep.
It's a slice
Yeah.
of life.
Slice
Yeah.
of
It's a
life.
Life of slime life.
Yeah.
Da-da, ba-dum-ching. Okay.
Yeah.
anyways.
And yeah, then we get the hard drive being put in the
Yeah,
bathtub.
the junior. Yeah.
I do appreciate. I did find it funny that after he puts like the computer in the tub, he like kneels down and he like does a little prayer. I thought that was
Yeah.
a nice touch.
Yeah.
Though I gotta say, I don't think he needs to leave the computer plugged in to put it in the tub.
No, that was
That's
all
true, that
kinds
was
of a
really
safety
dangerous.
hazard.
Yeah, that was
Oh,
really
no.
dangerous. I
He
was
nearly
like,
died just then.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you
And
just drop it in the tub
although-
without plugged in.
Although, hey. Here's the
Huh?
thing. I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but the computer was turned on.
Yeah, exactly. The
Oh.
computer was not turned off; it was actually on as well.
So, like, I'm pretty sure his Kohai took a sneak peek into his computer to see what was going on in there
Oh, you're
Oh.
right.
Dumping it in.
Oh,
Oh,
before dumping it in.
yeah.
yep. I think so.
Yep.
So that's actually a good touch. That's actually a really
That,
good touch.
that is a good touch. And
But yeah,
yeah.
please don't throw your plugged electronics into the bathtub, kids.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
please don't. Yeah, please don't throw plugged-in computers into the bathtub. If you're gonna
Yes.
throw it in, unplug it first.
Yes.
It'll do the
Yep.
same damage. Don't worry, guys.
Exactly. Whatever's in the hard drive will get destroyed no matter what.
Yeah, that's true. Electronics hate water.
Yeah, rice will not help it. Just saying.
Rice will not help it.
Well, some people say like put it in rice, right, to
I
absorb
know
the
it's like
water.
Actually, to
yeah,
be fair, I think
exactly.
I've heard of that before. Like the idea
Yeah,
that you
the
can
idea is
use
that
rice to like save your electronics.
It
the
doesn't
idea is
work.
that a lot of people say like when your cell phone falls in the water in the drain or lake or whatever, put it in
Throw it
rice.
in, yeah.
Then
Throw it in rice.
all the
Yeah.
water. But no, it doesn't help.
Yeah.
It
It's
doesn't.
not
It doesn't work.
Exactly, Pleb. It is exactly the same level of danger as like a toaster in a bathtub.
gonna.
Although I assume the toaster might be a little bit more dangerous. Actually, you know
technically-
what? No difference.
Technically, the ECB at circuit breaker will auto stop the supply when there is a sudden increase of electric due to the contact of water. Do you mean to say that Dwight, if he had gone into the bath with that computer, would he have died? I think that's the question we need the answer to. You can
He
test
would.
with your CPU with power on in your bathtub.
He won't.
He won't.
Oh, he won't?
Still, just out of his safety tip, don't do that. I don't want to take the risk of saying that it's safe.
Okay, that's a
that.
circuit breaker in the computer, right? But the electricity in the plugs and wires itself can still be a dangerous thing.
True
Mm.
that.
Also,
True that.
mm,
Sorry, I lost sound.
oh, can you?
Me too.
Can you, wait, what?
I heard also, and then I didn't hear anything
Yep.
else.
Oh
Yep.
no,
I heard. I saw your mouth
I was
move.
waiting.
No, I said also, and then I stopped talking.
Oh,
Okay.
because I saw your mouth moving, and I was like, "Is he saying anything?"
Yeah, no, I was like, what was I gonna say? Oh, I guess just that yeah. All in all, really liked this episode. I thought like its pacing was super good. It had a nice lighthearted feel to it. Not really establishing the central conflict yet, but
Oh, I am
thing-
so sorry. Sorry, just completely random. I was like, Penning's mouth is moving, but no sound is coming up. But then I realized I'm watching the video, which has a slight lag.
yes.
Yeah, stream delay.
Yeah,
Stream
yeah,
delay. Yeah.
Sorry.
No worries.
bad.
What I
Anyway.
love, what hooked me on the series, I was hooked straight off from episode 1. Was the good, well, yeah, well, not yet, but the balance of comedy and the slight subverting of the tropes,
Yeah.
of the
I-
isekai tropes. I really like that.
I really liked that the anime, especially in this first episode, didn't take itself too seriously. Also, Commander Com, in answer to your question, there's a scene at the end of the first episode where the Kohai, the survivor of
The
the
junior,
stabbing,
the junior.
yeah, the junior
Mhm.
who he saved, he had made it very, very clear to his junior that he wanted his hard drive destroyed upon his death. So
To be
his Kohai decided that the way in which he would do that is with the computer on and still plugged in, he would throw the whole computer into the bathtub. And we were discussing about whether or not he nearly killed himself by electrocuting himself. So that's the discussion you walked into. I'm thinking, but yeah, I really appreciate that this episode didn't take itself too seriously, especially because like, while the actual like story of the anime like isn't generic in and of itself, like in the sense that I just hit myself again for a second there. In the sense that, you know, reincarnating as a slime and stuff, that's fresh enough take on things. But like I'm just your average everyday salaryman, and oops, I just got isekai. That part is generic. And given that part, I do appreciate that it's not trying to be too serious out of the gate. Because I think if like the anime was taking itself too seriously, then it would be harder to kind of rise above the kind of sillier parts of the premise. Whereas like by like not by like making it pretty lighthearted and having a lot of funny bits in the first episode, it's like, yeah, you know what, this isn't like the the most serious of plots. We know that, but we're here to have a good time, kind of thing.
Yep. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt that from the first episode. I felt that this series is fun. It's fun to watch, fun to know about.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's an adaptation
episode
scene.
2 discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what? What?
Shall we go on to episode 2?
Yes.
Yeah.
So first thing I wanted to mention about episode 2 is because I don't believe in episode 1 they showed the theme song, or if they did, I forgot it immediately.
The theme song was at the end.
Oh, was it? Okay, and I skipped that. So the first time I saw it was
because I don't like to get the next time part. So as soon as an episode ends and they start rolling credits, unless like there's like scenes that are happening during the credits, I'll like skip ahead to the next episode.
Actually, no. Wait. Let me double check.
No, yeah, the opening song is used as in the end of this first episode.
Okay.
That's right. So
Well-
yeah, it's actually fairly common in Japanese anime where the opening song is played at the end of the first episode,
That's fair.
and then they'll start playing the actual opening song at the opening from second episode onwards.
And I do like that, but one thing I wanted to mention, and this is not like specific to this anime, this is fairly common in anime in general. When you're going into episode 2 and you're seeing that opening for the first time, it borders on heavy spoilers because it shows like a lot of characters we haven't seen yet. It has a scene in there that implies heavily implies, if not outright states, that Rimuru is going to get a human form at some point. Which, at this point in the anime, we have not even seen Rimuru change forms at all. So, like,
to be fair,
it shows all these characters we haven't met. So, yeah.
No, to be fair to the anime makers though, because the what do you call that? The thing is an adaptation of a light novel, and light novels have shown the light novel covers shows Rimuru's human body and all that. So they probably assume that people would know that this is where it's leading up to. They didn't think like it being like a huge spoiler or anything like that.
That makes sense. And yeah, Roku, that's a good reason to skip it. I guess it could be a bit of a difference, whereas like an English viewer is more likely to be going into this blind, and a larger segment of the Japanese watching community already has some exposure to the media, to the show beforehand.
The way I always look into this, because I myself don't really read the web novels or light novel, right? I saw the opening, and it's a great opening, by the way, in terms of the video and the music. And the way I always see it is that this is interesting. All these characters looks interesting. I don't know who they are, what they are, and the best part is that the intro never really spoils you on that. They never really tell you like, oh, this is the bad guy, this is the good guy. They never really tell you that, right? And then what always interests me is that after after they are introduced, I kind of try to look back at it. It's like, so that's why this scene in opening is like that. That's pretty cool. I always look at it that way, so that way, and then I don't feel like I'm being spoiled.
It's always nice when like repeat viewings give you a little extra.
Yep.
The Slime web novel and light novel is amongst the top 3 in sales/subscriptions rankings for the past 15 years. Many people know the novel. Okay, yeah. So that makes sense. Like
but to be fair though,
they're catering to an audience that's already familiar with the with the story.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
Though outside of Japan, it's another story.
Yeah,
that's the whole thing.
Outside of Japan,
But Tensei has been translated into English, in case you guys are wondering. It is on sale on Amazon.
Yep, it is.
And also can be bought as a Kindle. Reincarnated as a slime.
Is that the light novel of it that's been translated into English?
Yes, the light novel.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Has been translated into English, and also I think I can't remember what book number they're on right now, but yeah, it can be bought as a Kindle version on. Although let me Let me very quickly tell you that despite it being like something that is on sale, some of the translation is very weird.
Really?
Oh, really?
Huh.
Some of the translation, in particular, the sages' conversations.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it translates in Japanese, in English, in anime, but like for example, let me very quickly pull it up.
Okay.
Yeah, I did mention it to Asa at one point though.
So you've read the English version of the light novels?
Yes, I've read both the English and the Japanese.
Interesting.
I think you
Just-
did mention it one time.
Yeah. Kindle.
But yeah, going into it, if you look into the opening, while Sweden saying to trying to find a thing, if you go into the
Yeah.
opening thinking like these are general views of everything instead of like a spoiler, you can actually enjoy the opening for what it is.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, that's
You
fair.
know what? It's probably easier to just search back my conversation with Asu.
Also, I was interested in how much they sell the light novel for.
I wonder if we
in
conversed on
Canada,
text
they sell
or
it.
if we did a VC.
Right. So for example, I think for example like the Daikenja,
Mhm.
the great sage, like cuz he she when she talks to Rimuru, she starts with like one single word, right? For example, kai, or like sorry for those who watch the Japanese version. Like you know, I don't know what it is in English, what they use in English, but like she uses like one single word or to start the sentence.
Okay.
Koku kai, for example. But like in Japanese, for example, like kai, I think what she's trying to say is to explain, like explanation. But in
Mhm.
English, the book translates to confirmation,
Oh.
which is
Oh.
really, really weird.
Yeah. Those words mean significantly different things. Explanation and
And
confirmation.
yeah, and also, like strange. I don't know why they do this, but like, in Japanese, like they're talking about like killing their opponents or like removing them from the picture, right?
Okay.
And the word is keseru, so to erase basically.
Okay.
But like to erase them, like it would make sense to erase them, to remove them, to eradicate them, right?
Yeah.
But for some reason, the English translation says rub them out.
To rub them out. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess.
Oh, I remember you
rub
telling me
them
this.
out.
Yes,
I
I
guess
remember you telling me
could
about this.
kind of make the argument that that could imply kill, but like I get.
I mean, it is what's used back in the old mafia days of the prohibition era.
Yeah, I guess I could understand like if they wanted to like the equivalent to erase, like to rub them out. Sure, like kind of like rubbing out with an eraser, rubbing out of like a chalkboard or whatnot. Kind of like it works. It's just clunky. It's not. It's
It
not
is
Yep, it
very,
is.
very clunky.
Yeah.
It is very
It is
clunky.
very
And
clunky.
Yeah.
doesn't feel like the right thing to be used
No, it
To take
doesn't.
them
the
out would have
context.
been like a
Yeah,
better way
take
of
them
putting
out.
Yeah,
it.
take
Yeah,
them out.
Yeah.
take them out.
Yeah.
So I like the one that when Suiren gave as an example in our conversation. She says eradicate them.
Yeah, eradicate.
Yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense. That's
that works, right?
a very strong word
Mhm.
to use for killing them.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
like rub them
Rub
out
them out.
Yeah, that's
and it's not just once. Like it's every time. Every time it's just rub them out, rub them out, rub them out. Like every time this is keseru, it's just rub them out, and I'm just like,
it's
this
like
is so strange.
it's like look,
I
It is
mean,
look,
like you say,
I don't
like you
know
said,
I don't know that rub them out is exactly the phrase you want to use.
Yeah,
No, but
exactly.
it's
It's so
it's like
awkward.
what do you call that? To use an eraser is what keshte, right? To
Mm-mm.
erase something is keshte.
Mm.
So
Mm.
that's like part of keseru being part of the same, what was it, kanji,
Yeah, the same root. I think you're trying to say.
the same root, yeah, root. So that's just too much of a direct translation using erase.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
should have like,
Yeah.
in fact, if they use erase, it's better than using rub them out.
Yeah, honestly, erase them sounds a lot more intimidating than rub them out.
It does. It does. But yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, rub them out seems to be more of a in the old 1920s mafia prohibition era thing.
Yeah.
Like Al Capone would use that, but that was back then.
It depends
Mhm.
on which translation team the publisher used. Those with in-house translation teams usually give accurate translations, while most just hire some interns or outsource to a random translation company. Yeah, there's probably a lot of yeah, that would make sense. So it really
Mhm.
probably depends on how much money they decided to put in the translation, and I'm sure
Still,
also how much time they gave the translator.
I still
Yeah.
feel like the translator could still do something that's different than rub them out.
I'm sure they could, but I can appreciate the idea of like you're overworked and you're just pressed for time, and like you just want this done, and you don't have the time or energy to be creative anymore, so you're just going by like the most literal translations just to get this
I
behind you.
yeah. So so they do have the most clunky translations.
Hmm.
And for example, okay, so just uh um
Our
okay.
translator friend
Oh,
would be
so
triggered by this.
yeah. No. Machine translated version equals best version. Okay, so this is episode 1. So, oh hello sir, sorry we're late. There he is, walking toward me, bursting with all that youthful energy of his. He and the beautiful woman next to him. His name was Tamura, one of the guys who worked under me, and she was Sawatari, the front desk lady and pretty much the it girl around the office.
The it girl.
The it girl, quote
The
unquote
it
it.
girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then these bums ask bums. It actually says
Is
these
it
bums ask
possible to
to see
like
me.
get
IT girl.
exactly what they mean by the it girl and still not have any idea? Like I understand what they mean by the it girl, but I could not I'm like trying to think, how do I put that into words? What I
Yeah,
think they're
right.
going for.
Yeah.
Like she's the go-to person. Like she's the one that you go to if you need to
You
get
could
something
you could
done,
just
kind of
say the
thing.
most popular girl around the
Is that what
office.
they're going for? Like
Yeah,
the
it's true.
popular
Yeah.
girl?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
She's
she's like the
she's the
most
most
popular girl.
beautiful girl.
Okay.
She's the
Yeah,
most beautiful.
Or
exactly.
She's like she's like
what if
every
like you're
male
reading it
office
wrong
worker's like
entirely?
princess.
What if you're
Hmm?
reading it as the it girl, but it's actually the IT girl? Like
No.
they're just
It's
saying
actually
like you
quote
got
unquote
tech
small
support.
letters IT.
Yeah.
It. Yeah.
I was making
Yep.
a joke.
Yeah, I know.
It's like,
But
what
yeah.
if she's part of the IT department
Yeah.
thing?
She's the IT girl around here. You go to her whenever your computer blue screens.
You want to go to Google? Ask her.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess this is and again I think this is very common in Japanese narrative, but not so much in English narrative. Is that they all talk in first person?
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So the narrative is in first person, which makes it a little awkward for me because I'm not used to it. I'm used to things in third person.
It does
Mhm.
depend because there is a fair amount of first person narrative in English as well.
But but like the way they do first person narrative in English is less awkward than it is when it's directly translated.
How do you
Mm.
mean?
Like so first person narrative is there's a technique to first person narrative that makes it that to make it feel less to feel more engaging. But here there is sometimes I don't know if it's on purpose or not, but I think it's because of the translation. it feels like there's a switch between third-person narrative and first-person narrative sometimes in
So
the way
it's
they translate things.
it's written in the first person, but it feels like it should be in the third person kind of thing. Like you don't feel that connection to the narrator. It still feels like it's
Yeah.
a third person narration, even though
Yeah.
they're
Oh.
using like phrases like I did kind of thing.
Yeah,
Okay, I see. Yeah. And thank you,
but
Roku.
anyway,
Mm.
but yes.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. I think this all came from like us talking about the opening song.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm retracing the conversation to how we got here. All right. Well,
Yeah.
so getting to episode 2. So in episode 1, Rimuru and the dragon basically became besties. And
Mhm.
now there's a bit of a problem because Rimuru's like, I kind of want to go and explore and find these other isekai people, but I can't. But the dragon can't come with me because the dragon's been trapped in this
Bubble.
magical
This-
seal that's slowly
Chomp.
been sapping his power for 300 years now. And if he stays in there like another 100 years, he's probably gonna be completely drained of his magic. So Rimuru comes up with the idea of, well, first he tries to simply break the barrier. He can't break the barrier, which I do like because it shows that there's some limits to his sage ability, but it's still not clear what those limits are, but at least they exist. And then, so Rimuru comes to the next logical conclusion, which is, and I'm gonna quote directly from the English translation here. How about you get in my stomach?
I think that's the exact that's the direct
Yeah.
translation from Japanese.
I
That
Yeah.
is
think so,
yeah,
too.
direct translation.
And-
it is
and
actually the direct
I
translation.
assume in the Japanese, this is also followed by a deliciously awkward pause.
Yeah.
Because I just love that whole scene. I thought that was a large leap, honestly. I thought so too. But then the dragon's like super fine with this.
I actually forgot, when did he call the dragon a tsundere? Was it episode 1 or episode 2?
I think it was episode 1. Because I don't believe he calls the dragon a tsundere in the English version, but I know where he would have.
Yeah, but
because-
in Japanese, he actually did say tsundere ka.
yeah, because it's got to be the part where like Rimuru in episode 1 is like, "Do you want to be friends with me?" And the dragon's like, "Me be
Yeah.
friends with a slime?" And Rimuru's like, "No, you're right. That was a bad idea." And then the dragon says, and I wrote it down what he says. No, hold on. I never said I didn't want to, because I wrote it
Yeah.
down and I included the note. This is the most tsundere dragon, and I'm thinking
Yeah.
right there in the Japanese version, Rimuru literally has a thought like,
Yeah, I
"This
think-
dragon's
I think-
tsundere."
I think he says tsundere ka is what he said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was like tsundere ka.
Yeah.
I remember that line because I remember that's one of the lines that also got me to stick around with the anime because it was like such a hilarious line.
Yeah.
Like, are you a tsundere or what?
I'm trying to remember
Yeah.
what the English line there was, because I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure they didn't use the word tsundere for
Yeah, I
obvious
don't
reasons.
think- Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think in the English version they said something along the lines of, this dragon can't make up his mind or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, something along those lines, or maybe
I think
maybe
I think
like
it
the
would have been
dragon
fun
doesn't-
if they just left it as you're a
Tsundere.
tsundere or what?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
something like that. I
Yeah.
think people who watch Tensura by this point would be weeb enough to know what tsundere means.
That's
yeah,
true.
9
That's
times out
true.
of 10, I think that they would. I'm gonna see if I can find that part.
Particular scene.
Yeah, I didn't write
But yeah,
down.
I forgot to mention that during episode 1 just now that is also one part that got me like to check out the rest, because that was like that kind of comedy was so fresh to me when I was watching it, because this is like, like them what blatantly calling out the trope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a completely new person, maybe it can go like, this guy's shy or something like that.
But tsundere isn't exactly shy.
I know it's
Yeah.
not, but I'm just saying that just to go into the context of how because we can't really do a translation of tsundere per se.
I
Oh,
wish
yeah,
I
mentioned it in
had
the chat. Yeah.
time-stamped this part because I'm trying to find like what the English equivalent was, but
It's tsundere in the dictionary now.
I wish it was.
It would be
It would make things
great.
so much more easier.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
We can just turn it into an English word. It's tsundere. It means someone who pretends to hate someone but really likes them and is super shy about it.
Yeah.
Exactly. You can totally submit it to Webster.
Yeah,
We should. It should be like a new new word
English
in the
word.
Oxford
Yeah.
Dictionary.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Here I have
Exactly.
a note here that the dragon story is great, so it must come after the dragon story. So here's the dragon story.
Punchy love.
Hot
and cold, bitter sweetheart.
Oh man.
Affectionate
Okay, so
fire.
I didn't write down this
line, but here's another line from the dub. Being alone for 300 years would be a real suck fest.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm sure in the English, I'm sure in the Japanese version it was something along the lines of being alone for 300 years would be really rough or something, but
Probably.
Yeah.
Is this in episode 2?
This is in episode 1. Okay, so here's it. Here's the parts. Being alone for 300 years would be a real suck fest. That's it. Hey, what if you and I became friends? Feldora says, "Are you serious? Me, the mighty storm dragon Feldora, becomes friends with a lowly slime?" And the slime's like, "Yeah, you're right. That was a stupid idea." And Feldora says, "No, hold on. I never said I didn't want to." And then the slime just says, "So, does that mean you're cool with it? I suppose I could make an exception." So he doesn't even mention it at all in the
tsundere thing.
Yeah, they just completely skip over that part in the English dub. I guess they just drag out that reply with the Soa part, where like the tsundere part would go.
Give me 1 second. Let me watch it.
Yeah. Punchy love. I think I saw the English sub somewhere translated as hot and cold.
In the Japanese, he starts off with, I was being single for 37 years. Like I was already very lonely. So how lonely would it be, to be alone for 300 years? And that was it.
Yeah.
In the
どれだけ
Yeah,
and then dot, dot, dot.
in the English version, he did start off by, like, I didn't include it, but he did start off by saying, along the lines of, "Man, I thought I was lonely for not having a girlfriend for 37 years," and then he says, but then he said something along the lines of, "But being alone for 300 years must have been a real suck fest." I can't remember exactly what it was because it's, but I just distinctly remembered just seeing the line "suck fest" there. So yeah.
It was like exactly what Suren said. All he said was just like, "I wonder how would that be for 300 years."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But
that was the author again deciding that they wanted to punch up the dialogue to include words like "suckfest."
Yeah.
Punch up the dialogue, so to say.
Yeah.
So in the tsundere part, it's like, I think that the dragon goes, "But if you really do want to be friends with me, I guess I can work that out." And then Rimi goes, "Tsundere ka!"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they basically just have Rimiro just move along to the other part without ever
The I
saying the
insist part,
tsundere.
right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
because during in the Japanese version, he says "sundereka." Rimuru was off screen when he goes like "sundereka" because
Uh,
the focus was on
oh,
Veldora
okay,
at the
yeah,
time.
yeah. So yeah, they didn't have him say anything until they cut back to Rimuru.
Ah.
So I guess they just
Because
like
yeah,
didn't say anything in its place.
Mm.
oh, it's
Okay.
quite funny in the Netflix the Asian Netflix version, right?
Mhm.
The subtitle actually says here, the English subtitles actually say, "Are you a tsundere?" They didn't even try to
Yeah.
explain it.
See, I
It was
like that.
Yeah.
just like,
And
I
it's,
like that.
it's interesting because it's one of those things where different dubs of animes will go into different lengths to kind of include
like an English translation of things.
yeah, like some English translations will even include like adding suffixes like chan, kun, san to the end of words. A lot of English translations nowadays will, rather than translate the word senpai, actually outright have them say senpai, like words like
Mm.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Dwight Falcon, just so you know,
Mhm.
if Netflix in Asia has a ton of anime, Netflix in Japan also have a ton of anime. The only difference is Netflix Japan does not have English subtitles.
Yeah.
Yeah. For what it's worth, Netflix in Canada does have some anime here. Like I got Netflix. I also have Funimation because
and
fun
and
fun
Netflix
story about
themselves
that.
have funded animes as well.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that's true. So fun story about me having Funimation is I decided I wanted to watch Dragon Ball Super. And I wanted to watch specifically the English dub of it because one I never watched when I was growing up. I watched the English Funimation dub of Dragon Ball, so those are the voices I'm used to. But number two, I wanted to be able to watch it while working, and if I watch it while working, then I have to watch it dubbed because I
Mm-hmm.
can't look at the subs and write at
Can't
the
read.
same time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, so uh, so I'm like, okay, well, why don't I subscribe to Funimation for a month so that I can watch Dragon Ball Super? And I thought I did, but what I actually did was I subscribed to Funimation for a year. So, you know,
Oh,
yeah. So I'm
Oh.
like, okay, well, I guess I,
lots more animes to watch.
yeah, it's like I guess I'll find other things to do with this now. Beyond Super, I did watch all of Super.
I
So
think Funimation has Zombieland Saga if you're interested. That's a funny anime.
I should watch that at some point.
I mean,
Um,
like if you can finish watching, Reincarnated as a slime
Yeah,
on
Tensura first.
Funimation.
Tensura first.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
I plan to definitely.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
So yeah.
And who
so
knows if this podcast goes well, Funimation might sponsor you.
wouldn't that
See,
be delightful?
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah, but then you'd have to cut out the part of me saying Japanese is better.
yeah,
It's true.
that's no, it just lends more credibility.
More credibility.
Yeah.
And then whenever we mention Netflix, it's gonna bleep out. In Asian bleep, and then we have that bleep. Oh wait.
So just to read off some of the anime that's on Netflix right now in Canada.
Mhm.
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure,
Oh
One
God.
Piece,
One
Yasuke,
Piece.
Full Metal
Ye-
Alchemist Brotherhood,
Yeah, that's a
Neon,
good one.
Neon
Yep.
Genesis Evangelion, Sword Art Online, Death Note,
Don't even
Haikyuu.
start Neon Genesis if you don't want a splitting headache
Yeah.
by the end of it. I swear to God,
Man,
it
that
will
would a-
make you question your existence.
that would actually be an interesting one to revisit because I watched it as a kid and at the time spoke to me very profoundly because
Mhm.
I was roughly Shinji's age. I was at a
Okay,
time in my
understandable.
life where my dad and I were at odds because of the divorce. So
Like
Mhm.
dad issues was something I could really relate to. I was a shy kid.
Mhm.
I was in a very depressive state of mind, so all those things, like I could very easily kind of put myself in Shinji's shoes at that time. Um, and that made like all the existential stuff that he was going through much more profound to me.
Mhm.
But I wonder if it holds up to scrutiny nowadays.
Now?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh,
I mean, I'm pretty sure Eva will always appeal to the emo kid
yes,
of any age.
which I was very much at the time.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was a happy child.
Aw.
Eva just confused me.
Aw. Well, I'm glad
I
you were
was
a
a
happy
happy
child.
That's
Uh,
good.
One Punch Man, High Rise Adventure, Inuyasha,
Inuyasha.
Those are basically
Kuroko's
the
Basketball,
same.
Naruto.
Those a lot of those are the same sets of anime here in Asian Netflix as well.
Yeah.
No, I have way more.
Yeah, it's basically like the super popular anime that's on here. BNA,
Right.
which I really liked BNA,
Oh,
by the
DN
way.
Angel?
Mm-mm.
Is it called BN Angel? It's the one with the two.
No, BNA,
Oh, no.
BNA,
Oh.
BNA.
Oh, okay,
BNA.
It's the
BNA.
new Studio Trigo one,
Yeah. I liked
Gotcha.
that one.
and there's Beastars.
Yeah. Which
But BNA and Beastars are actually funded by Netflix.
well, that
That's why they're
explains
on
why it's
Netflix
on
now.
there. I haven't watched
Yep.
Beastars. I did watch BNA.
Mm-mm. And then there's also the one that's funded by Netflix from KyoAni called Violet Evergarden.
Yeah.
Also
Oh, yes,
very
Violet
recommended one.
Evergarden.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wonder what
So,
percentage of this.
yeah, I have a lot.
I
lot.
can imagine Japanese Netflix has a ton of anime.
So, yeah, let me very quickly go through.
You should try Ranma. I actually, when I was a kid, I was reading the Ranma
manga.
manga. Yeah.
The manga was really good. I love the
never saw
manga.
the anime. I did read the manga.
I actually enjoy the manga more than I do the anime because the anime
I will
still there was a lot of changes in the anime that I wasn't happy of.
I will say that I didn't read the manga all the way through because at a certain point the manga kind of got
repetitive.
Yes, exactly. At a certain point it
Yep.
just got very repetitive and I kind of lost interest. What's up?
Totally understandable.
So they have the Japanese. I don't know if you guys know this anime. It's really old. They have Jigoku Sensei Nube.
Oh, they have that in Japan. That's awesome.
What is that?
That's Hell's Hell Teacher Sensei. Hell Teacher Sensei.
Hell Teacher Nube. Yeah.
Hey, Nube. Hell Teacher
That
Nube, not
sounds
Sensei.
familiar,
Sorry.
but I don't think I've seen it.
Sadness. They don't have it in Malaysia. Dang it. I love that anime. When I was a kid, when I was younger, I loved that anime. It's so good.
So it's a really old anime. But what it's about is basically it's a teacher, like basically it's a classroom. The teacher, and it's like horror stories, but like not, but like the kids get into all these like trouble with like ghosts and paranormal and all that stuff, and the teacher himself has like a hand that is like sort of skeletal and like skeletal, I guess, demonic, and like can actually fight demons and ghosts and stuff like that. So
that reminds me a little bit of what was it called? D. Grayman, I want to say.
Oh, D. Grayman, yeah.
Yeah. Also, when you were describing about the kids facing paranormal stuff, that reminded me of that other anime. What was it called? It's known for specifically the English dub, not the Japanese.
Okay.
Roku, help me out. You know what one I'm talking about. Ghost Stories, thank you.
Oh, Ghost Stories.
Yes. So, Suira, do you know the history of the Ghost Stories anime?
No.
Okay, so basically it came out in this period where anime was first off, Ghost Stories was this fairly popular series of novels in Japan. So when it came time to adapt it into an anime, the company behind it pulled out all the stops because they were anticipating this anime would be really,
To be a
really
hit.
popular. And it
Yep.
turned out to
Uh-oh.
be middling to bad in Japan. Like it,
Yep. In Japan, really, the reception in Japan was
yeah.
bad.
So
Right.
it's got its run of episodes, and the company behind it just kind of threw it away after that. Like they didn't care about it anymore. And there it lay collecting dust for a while until like the anime boom in North America started to pick up steam, and there became this rush of studios that were all like hungry for anime to translate and to get out to the English audience.
Mhm.
And then along comes Ghost Story, which the original Japanese studio behind it no longer cared about. And usually
Right.
whenever like a Japanese studio says, "Okay, we'll license this to you," they give like a series of like specific orders of like things that must be maintained to protect the creative control of the original. But they cared
Right.
so little about Ghost Stories. The only stipulations they said is the characters' names have to stay the same, and the basic
Yeah.
plot has to stay the same. Beyond that, we don't care what you do with this.
Yeah,
So-
they literally said to the company that they sell it to, do what you like with it.
Yeah, I think basically they said as long as you can make money with it, we honestly do not care. Something along those lines. So
Right.
the people behind it like, okay, well we're just gonna be extraordinarily silly with it. So they took this story that in the Japanese original was a fairly serious story about kids like solving paranormal cases, and they turned it into this kind of, is it fair to say that it was R-rated? Kind of R-rated comedy.
No, not really R-rated per se. It's like it's very adult, and
Yeah.
they pull no stops in censorship.
Yeah, it's not R-rated in the sense that in the visuals, because the visuals are of course the same, but the dialogue has been completely changed.
Yeah, the dialogue
Aha.
is they just went crazy with the dialogue. There were expletives, there were all sorts of things that just goes
They
on,
completely
and
changed the characters. So like
Yeah.
one of the kids is constantly trying to get the others to convert to Christianity and embrace
Yeah.
Jesus.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a lot of it. They have lines in there like, "Just get back to digging your hole digger."
Yeah.
So things like that. At one point, there's the line where one of the kids is running, and the line is just like, "Oh my god, these are the fastest lip locks I've ever had to sing to."
Oh, these are the fastest lip flops I've ever had to sync to.
Yeah. So random things like that, and the teachers say like really inappropriate things to the students.
To the children's, yeah.
I
I mean,
see.
it's done in such a funny way that
Yeah.
if you take it seriously, you're gonna be offended, pretty much. But
I
it's
see.
Yeah, there's a lot of offensive dialogue in there too, which is part of the reason why I'm like, I kind of would say this is R-rated. Yeah. So yeah, but that's Ghost Stories.
Okay.
Mhm.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh, so here's another one that's in here that's probably not in any of your sides. Eureka 7.
Oh,
Oh.
Eureka 7? Yeah, we have that.
Oh, you have it? Cool.
Yep.
I never saw
Eureka
Eureka 7.
7.
By the way, we're 2 hours and 30 minutes into this.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
No,
Just
it's okay. I was just
back
gonna
to
say, I
the-
wonder what percentage of it we've actually been talking about it. It's fine. I don't mind. I'm just amused by
Yeah.
it.
It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah. But I guess going back to
Yeah, episode 2.
Episode 2.
yeah. So okay, so Rimuru's like, okay, how about you get in my stomach? And the dragon, I guess, after 300 years of isolation, has become mentally broken to the point where he's willing to accept this. The dragon,
pretty much.
The dragon's only stipulation is that he wants to exchange names with them. With Rimuru first, which is how Rimuru gets his name Rimuru, and the dragon gets the name Tempest. So Rimuru's full name is now Rimuru Tempest.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they somehow like wanted to become family. Or he wants to be like what the dragon was talking about, how how the humans have family names, and he wants something like that, something that kind of bond between the two of them.
Oh, that's not how they do it in English. That's not what they say in the English. Oh wait, actually no, I'm misremembering. That is what he does in English. He speaks about how humans have familiar ties, and he wants to do that. That's right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's what I meant. That's what I said.
I was confusing two scenes because there was another thing where he was like imparting a name on you will give you additional special traits.
That's a later on thing.
And then
there's sorry, afterwards there's a part where once Veldora gets into the stomach and Rimuru is by himself again. At one point Rimuru becomes able to talk, right? After he swallows his bat, I think.
Because of the sonic the sonic emissions.
I think sorry, I'm just skipping ahead a little bit, but we can go back later. There's one part that I really want to know what they did for the English version. It's when he's trying out his voice and he's skipping through the water.
Oh right, that part.
What I don't know what he says. I want to know what they say in English.
What did they say in the Japanese?
So in the Japanese, they actually use a very common vocal practice. Vocal warm up for voice actors, which is the it's called the Amenbo no Uta. So he goes because it has all the aiueo in it. So it's called Amenbo akai na aiueo. Ukimo koebi mo oyoideru, and it goes all the way to like akasatana. So it goes all the way to the last. So he goes. So he starts this first part. So he goes amenbo akai na aiueo, and then that was it. But like I just want to know. Yeah, I just want to know what they did in Japan in English.
That Vegeta, thank you very much for the bits.
Good evening, Pending. After a long 11 hour shift at work, I am super tired, and Sor just got home from the store and got myself a delicious chicken taco salad, and I am going to enjoy your stream before going to bed.
You're probably a little bit further
Have a great
along,
stream, my friend.
12.5 minutes because of the time difference.
Right.
Yep.
Thank you very much for the bits, Vegeta, and good job today. I hope you have a good rest. And I hope you enjoy your chicken taco salad. That sounds awesome. And I'm looking for that part really now. Okay. You know what? Do you think I could risk playing the audio for this part, because
it's gonna be a short one, so I think it should be fine.
Because here's I can tell you what it says in the dub, or rather I can tell you what it says in the closed captions, but the problem is in the closed captions are grunt and gasp. So that tells us like nothing. So here we'll listen to this part. Okay. Okay, so he actually, I don't know if you could hear that at all.
Nope.
Okay. So actually I guess then there was no copyright infringement if you couldn't hear. But so what he's saying is he sells, she sells by the seashore. How much wood could a woodchuck chop? So they actually did find a clever way of doing it, because
that's actually pretty smart. That's actually pretty smart.
Because he is doing vocal exercises. It's just a different vocal exercise.
Just in English.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense, and then also like goes to the strength of the fact that he doesn't have lip flaps to match, so you could put literally anything there.
Yep.
Yep.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to know.
That's
that was
really
interesting.
smart.
Mm-hmm.
That was really smart.
Yeah.
She sells seashells by the seashore, I think is what it is.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
She sells seashells by the seashore.
Yeah, she
How much would
Yeah.
woodchuck?
Yeah, exactly. So he was doing like tongue twisters in the English version.
Yep.
So not exactly
also-
vocal warm-ups, but very, very similar.
A lot of people use those for vocal warm-ups because it's
Yes.
like, like tongue twisting.
In fact, when I don't know if I can mention this. Well, I'll mention it without like specifically saying it, and you'll know why. You'll know why in a second. Why I'm not sure if I could mention this or not. Back in the day, I was in a VTuber voice acting class thing. And during it, our teacher suggested that we do tongue twisters, and we practice some tongue twisters.
I'm just gonna say, our teacher, your teacher, long have she ascended?
Yes.
Ascended.
Yes. Or descended, perhaps, because she was.
Or descended, yeah, maybe descended.
Because it was a demon. Yeah.
She was a demon.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah. Speaking of Japanese lines, or sorry, speaking of English lines, I should say.
Right.
After Rimuru gets the name, and Rimuru is very happy about the name, Rimuru then delivers the line, which I assume is probably very similar in Japanese, but I just love this line. Okay, well, I'm gonna eat you now. Which, yeah. Though I also point out at that time, like in my notes, I'm saying this whole eating the dragon to save him is silly and makes no sense. Among other things, how does eating him get around the field? Also, how does Rimuru know? And I guess we did kind of touch on this earlier. How does Rimuru know that the dragon won't just be broken down by his stomach like the flowers were? Which I guess like you mentioned before, that Rimuru actually gets to choose.
Yes, he gets to choose, and also his skills. Most of his skills can be controlled by the sage.
The sage, yeah.
Kenja has control over some of his abilities, and he can actually regulate or give authority to Daikenja the sage to use his abilities.
Yeah. And as Roku points out, like at first I thought he would just barf out the dragon, but then and skipping ahead a little bit to later in the episode, like he can't hear the dragon anymore, and I do mention later in my notes is so is the dragon dead now? Did Rimuru just straight up kill his first friend? and then Rimuru says he encounters like a beast of some kind, and the narration that Rimuru provides is, and then I ran into a new friend, and to which I said in my notes, is Rimuru going to kill this one too? And then shortly after I added the note in all caps, he does! Rimuru, killer of friends. It was it was
snake, right?
Yeah, it was the snake, yeah. And then he eats the spider, and he delivers the line, "Ooh, I can't taste, but still, ooh," which I love.
Ooh, yeah.
I think in Japanese it's something similar too.
Yeah, it's very similar.
Oh, he has to investigate the barrier in order to spit out. So he absorbed him, barrier and all.
Yep, everything.
Oh,
he was absorbing everything.
I don't know if that was explained and I didn't understand it, or if that wasn't explained in the English version.
Because when they were talking about the whole thing is that he's supposed to like absorb the whole the dragon inside him with the barrier, so that the great sage can sort of like investigate the barrier, as Viren says, and then so that they can find out how to break the seal.
Yeah.
By the way, there's another. I'm just looking. There's another line here that I need to know. I need to know what the English, what the Japanese was. So here's let me tell you, at 11 minutes at 11 minutes 25 seconds in the English version, after being explained what the skill Predator does, Rimuru responds with, "Predator is the bomb.com."
The bomb.
What?
Predator is the
Wait,
bomb.
what was it? 11
minutes 25 seconds.
episode 1 or episode 2?
Episode 2.
11 minutes
Predator
25
is the
seconds.
bomb.com.
At 11 minutes 25 seconds.
Based on past
If I use
examples, what
Benetton-
I'm thinking is that the Japanese version was probably very straightforward, and they decided to punch up the dialogue for the English version.
Okay, what he says, he didn't say anything like that. He just goes like, "Hey, Mamayo."
What does that translate to? Like cool?
No, just like might as well. What was it? I'll because he was talking about copying the snake skills.
Right.
Right after he was talking about if the predator can do all this, then I can copy the snake skills. Then I was like, here I go then, just like that.
No, I think that's not it. That's not it.
That's not a what? That's not a part?
This
No.
is after
Give me 1 second.
Siri explained.
Sorry.
Oh,
I
okay,
just-
yeah.
Or is
Give
it
me 1 second.
after he ate the snake?
Yeah,
Yes.
no, it's
Oh.
after he spit out the. He went like, "Ugh, gross." Sort of.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see now.
Give me
yeah.
1 second. Shh.
How are you
Okay, I
doing?
saw it.
So no,
Go ahead,
yeah, he
go
says, "Yeah, 捕食者マジ使えるな." Is what he says.
What's that? What's
No,
that translate to?
So it's really useful. Is what he says.
So
Yep.
okay, in the Japanese he calls it really useful. In the English, he says
Bomb
Predator is the
dot
bomb.com.
Yeah.
oh my god.
Also, around this time, I noted that
Uh,
Rimuru is a blue mage.
Yes. Yes.
yes, he is.
Yes,
he
absolutely.
is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He's also blue. So.
Yeah.
He's basically the blue mage without the RNG. He'll get all the skills.
Yeah.
He's what Final Fantasy 14 blue mages wishes they were.
Yeah, exactly.
Though correct me
Yeah,
if
no,
I'm wrong, but
I-
in Final Fantasy 14, isn't blue mage so OP that it's actually like not allowed in raids or something?
yeah, it's a limited job. So what
Yeah.
it is
Mm.
is it can't be used in part duty finder.
Mm.
It can be used in party finder. It has to be like an all blue mage party to go into raids in order to get skills.
Hmm.
So
Jeez.
That's
so yeah, so
interesting.
it's not a regular blue mage like
Yeah.
regular party. It's just like blue mage go in to grab skills so they can use it outside.
Yeah, basically
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 14, like Square Enix was like, look, we're not going to try to balance the blue mage. We're just going to let it be ridiculous and put some limitations on what they can do.
Yes, exactly.
Is there any other?
gonna just-
We're getting way off topic, but that's okay. Is there any other classes like that in Final Fantasy 14 other than blue mage?
No, it's just the
Nope,
blue mage.
Just
mage.
the blue
Yeah, the
mage,
blue mage
okay.
is unique. Is the unique one that has this absorbing abilities and then making it able to be used outside.
Which I do like.
You know, on the other hand, though, you know, blue mage don't actually have to eat the monsters to get their skills.
That's true.
That's true.
In
That's
Final
true.
Fantasy 7, for example, you learn the skill by being hit with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. So.
In 14 though, you can just see the skill.
Oh.
You have to attack the monster, but like as long as you see the skill,
Mhm.
you don't have to be hit by it to learn it.
Oh, you're right,
Yep, yep.
Roku. In Final Fantasy
Yeah,
9, you do eat the because what's his
Oh.
name?
Oh, that's right. The
the-
chef.
The
character.
chef. Yeah,
The chef
guy
character.
who has a very interesting way of talking. Is
Has to add Quina.
Quina? Thank you. I knew it started with a Q, but I'm like, I want to say Quistis, but that is not Quistis. Quistis looks very different.
Is 8.
Yeah,
is 8,
Quistis
yeah.
is 8. Queen, yeah. Yeah. In Final Fantasy 9, that's your blue mage character, and he eats people.
Yep.
He eats people.
Yeah,
That one actually does eat and then gets the ability.
yeah. Much like Rimu. Rimu also eats people.
Yes.
Also,
Rimuru also eats people.
Rimu has I'm just gonna assume that there is no sense in like trying to apply like any kind of physics to like how big or small Rimu can be while absorbing people.
He's a slime,
Yeah.
so there's
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like he absorbed a dragon along with its cage. So really,
yeah, like
That's true. That's true.
at that point, like there's no like real limitations here, in keeping with his OPness.
He can really like adjust his mass however he wants.
Yeah.
Yep. Pretty much.
I mean, we can say he sucked in the air particles to grow and slimify it.
Yes.
Let's not go there, shall we?
Oh, okay. So at this point, Rimu like has now explored the cave, loving that he's actually finding other things. He's getting some abilities. He can now, like, for example, speak, thanks to the absorption of the bat. At that time, I was kind of confused about that. Not like I understood how like he got it from the bat, but I'm like, my confusion came from. Are you okay, Asu?
Huh? What?
Oh, I wasn't sure. You made a noise, and I wasn't sure if that was like a sneeze or not.
Oh no, I was just coughing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You blessed for cough?
You know what I've had this discussion before, and technically no, but because there's no like appropriate thing to say for a cough, I just feel like bless you could be a catch-all for coughs as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, as you mentioned, he got all these abilities from all these including from the speech from the bat.
Yeah, he got like a sticky rope thing from the spider, to like Tarzan around. Yeah, cough you, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, he's got all these new abilities. Oops. Oh no.
Oh, what? What's happening?
Oh, I'm too close now. Too close.
Oh,
there we go.
Wow.
Oh yeah, really I see it. Talking about mass size changes.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Worry about that. So, I'm gonna have to change those hotkeys after the stream. I'm like, yeah, arrow keys. What am I gonna use those in a game? Man, was I not thinking about this?
Happens more often than you think.
Yeah, exactly. You never notice what buttons you press until you've made it a hotkey for something unrelated.
Yeah.
So yeah. Then Rimuru runs into other people, which I was really excited about.
Adventurers, right?
In fact, my note here is I'm excited that Rimu has met other people. It's time for social activity. Although I have to at this point kind of jump back a little bit, because this was set up by a scene earlier where we met like a guild master and a old friend of him who specifically wanted to go into the cave because the
dragon isn't there.
The dragon isn't there anymore, and apparently the dragon was like regulating like the monsters in the area or something, which makes which it comes up again later in the episode, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because we had established that the dragon had been sealed in that cave for 300 years. So given that he was sealed,
it's not so much as he physically regulates; it's his magical powers that regulate it.
I see.
Sort of like the aura, the magical aura. Was
his magical mahosol is what it called. Magical molecules, whatever.
Although even by that, it's still a little like that makes more sense, but it's still a little like not neatly tied up, because as we're gonna see in a little bit with the goblins, like after absorbing the dragon, Rimuru started to exude that same aura.
He doesn't exude the same. He exudes aura, but not as much as that of Veldora.
Okay.
Veldora, yeah.
All right,
but the other monsters does recognize the aura, but it's just that it's not as powerful as Veldora's aura.
They sense the magic, and they can't be like, oh, this is like Veldora's aura. No, it's not so much that as he's releasing a lot of magic energy around him, but they can't pinpoint like, oh, whose energy it is.
Oh, okay. I see.
It's just he's releasing a lot. Like there is no signature to the energy. Just there's a lot of magic he's releasing, and it's very intimidating.
Okay, that's fair.
Yep.
So then Rimuru encounters these three people. By
the way, I just want to say.
Yeah.
I just want to say, Pending, if you remember the voice acting class. These are, I mean, it's not a spoiler, but these are the characters from that little scene.
Yeah, that's right. We reenacted a scene from this.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. That's right. I forgot about that.
Yep.
It's even drew something for it.
Yeah, was I did for that?
No, you were Ranga.
You were the wolf.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I want to do that again sometime. Like reenact anime scenes. Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So okay. So he meets the guys in the cave. One of the people, and he's not exposing himself to them because he's worried about how they react to slime. Smartly so. So one of the guys decides to or tells the other two, gather close to me, I'm gonna cast invisibility on us. And Rimuru immediately says something along the lines of, in fact, I quote it here, "What a disgraceful perv that I absolutely want to make friends with later."
What?
Yeah. I don't know if the Japanese is any different.
Give me 1 second.
Which
I didn't timestamp that. Let me see if I can find roughly when that happens.
I know which part you're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't remember something like that, so it's a surprise to me.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's a bit of a conversation between Daikenja and.
It's okay. Yeah. So I'm looking at it now. He says, "What a disgraceful verb that I absolutely want to make friends with later." That's at about 1440.
Yeah.
But I also noted here in my notes, careful guy, we've seen what Rimuro does to his friends. So.
Oh yeah. So yes. So he does say something similar.
Okay.
So yeah, he's like, oh, it's a skill. So it's a skill that makes you invisible. You can do all sorts of like, indecent things with it. So how so it's like how lewd I think it is. I have to be friends with him.
Okay, so yeah, it is pretty much a direct translation. I mostly like noted that part just because Rimuru has made 2 friends so far in quotation marks, and both have died by his hands. So this guy's next on the list. I mean, he called the monster he ate his friend, so is that a threat? Exactly, Pleb, exactly.
Did he call the monster he ate his friend?
Oops. Sorry.
Snake?
Wait, what?
Say what? He called the monster he ate his friends. No, I mean, when he met the snake, he was like, "Oh, I met a new friend." Yeah.
Yeah.
I met a new friend after that because he was like talking about.
Yeah.
After eating Veldora.
Exactly.
Then he was like going around and goes like, what? I don't know if you call it his friend in the Japanese one.
He might not call it
No,
his
no.
friend, this is the Japanese.
No, he's like, oh, like perhaps I'll meet a fated person, and he goes, or not, when he sees a snake.
Oh, okay, that's very different.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
English, he sarcastically
Thank
like
you for
calls him
visiting
his
me.
friend. Thank you,
Would you like
Cameron,
Oh,
for the
really?
follow. Thank you, and welcome.
No,
to the
yeah,
stream.
yeah. Yeah, he
Mhm.
goes. He's like, oh, like if I might just meet a fated person. 運命に出会い、運命の出会いとか something like that. So like a meeting by chance of fate, and then he goes, okay, maybe not when he sees this. Wait, when he sees
the English subtitle over that one is he says that the one that tied to me in the red thread of maybe I meet the one tied to me in the red thread of fate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also I like Camelot. I like that Asu is a Power Ranger, which is Camelot referred to you as a Power Ranger, which is which is thematically very accurate because Asu is a superhero.
I am a superhero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Power Rangers.
Power Ranger Demon Ninja.
Yeah. I love it. I think the demon part comes from the fact. I think the demon part comes
horns?
from you have the horns, but you also have like the yellow eyes. So
I am not demonic. I can tell you that.
Yeah, no. Asu fights for justice.
Yes, for justice.
Yeah.
When it suits him.
Although I have a demon form.
No,
see? I can be demon.
It's not when it suits me. This is justice.
It's not like I don't care about you, Baka.
Baka.
Yeah, that's you to justice.
The Suren became a serpent lady.
Yeah, which again, like I could see how you would think that because she's a dragon.
She's a dragon goddess.
Yeah.
Technically speaking, I'm not a serpent.
Mm-mm.
Exactly.
No, but I can see how you could like come to that conclusion at first.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
However, technically speaking, Chinese dragons are not serpents. We're not really reptilian in nature.
Yep.
Unlike Western dragons, who are like likened to reptiles.
Right. Yes.
Or
yes.
Yeah. Our body might be snake-like, but we are in no way like reptilian.
Oh, cool.
Just so you know.
Yeah. The more you know.
The more you know. Anyways, sorry. Continue.
Oh, no worries. So yeah, he decides wisely not to confront the humans right now.
Smart.
Yeah. He then leaves the cave through the opening they just made. And as he leaves the cave, he gives this awesome line, which I imagine is probably the same in English and Japanese, roughly. But I love it because this is a line that you would only hear in anime. Here's the line. I haven't heard anything from Beldora since I ate him. I just imagine like in the recording booth, like the VA is like giving that line. It's like, oh, okay. How do I, how shall I be delivering this?
Though inside the Japanese version, it says like "arekara
wa." So like from since that time, there was no response from Veldora.
Yeah,
so
no
it's not like
response.
since I ate him.
You know what? Since that time, there was no response. So does it directly mention since I ate him in the?
No, it does not.
There's no saying. It just says since the time they exited the cave. He's
honestly, I love the English
the
version of that line. Are you friends with Fenrir? I'm not Fafnir. I don't think I'm familiar with Fafnir. Asu, are you Suiren?
Nope.
Oh, I mean, I've never heard of Fafnir.
Oh, okay.
So no.
So sorry, Camelot. I'm not familiar with them. I'm sure they're nice though. And also, hello, Kichi. How you doing?
I think
Hello.
Fafnir is supposed to be I think some Norse mythology thing as well. I'm not so sure.
Oh, okay. I thought it was another VTuber. Okay. All right, that makes sense.
I mean, there might be a VTuber named Fafnir.
No, I think it was in relation to Suiran talking about the Chinese mythology.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Ah.
I'm
Big
very sad.
Hololive news.
Oh, I haven't heard any big Hololive news.
Me neither. Is Hololive shutting down?
No, that can't be right.
That can't be right.
Although I am definitely interested to know what the big Hololive
Oh no!
is.
I just saw it. Kiryu Coco will be holding her graduation.
Wait, isn't she like
Oh!
one of the
Kiryu's
biggest
stopping.
ones?
Yeah, she is.
She's
She's actually graduating
oh wow!
on July 1st. Oh wow, this is a huge surprise.
Really?
Oh
mean,
my
not
goodness.
being someone that mostly knows of Hololive for the English ones. I only know Coco by reputation. Like I haven't really watched her streams, but I am familiar. I like she's big enough that even me, someone who doesn't really watch Hololive, knows of her. Wow.
Yep, exactly. No, she's huge.
Yeah.
People who don't watch Hololive actually knows about Kiryu Coco as well. So it's actually quite surprising that she's graduating.
I don't.
It's okay, she read. But
It's okay.
But
yeah.
I do wonder what the circumstances are, because it can't be like a matter of like
cannot be from Hololive's side.
yeah,
it
can't be like Hololive pushing her out. It has to be like something she decided. I have to think.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like that's the case.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if she said anything more about her motivations. If she hasn't yet, I imagine she'd probably say something at some point. Interesting.
Surprising.
She was very sad during her stream when she announced it, but she can't. She said she can't talk about why. Oh.
Probably a personal thing, so
It might be a personal thing, yeah.
But I feel like Hololive won't be pushing her out because she is definitely one of the big ones,
yeah,
big names in there. I mean, she was actually featured inside the Hololive Altar. The preview, the Hololive Alternative, which is something that's gonna happen. There's some animations in it. She was actually featured in there as well. So
right.
I imagine it won't be a Hololive thing.
Yeah, it could be something that she decided. That doesn't mean it wasn't difficult to come to that
Yeah,
decision.
most definitely.
She was
most definitely
the one that decided. It could be. I mean, who knows? Like, it could be like there were contractual differences, like we no longer saw eye to eye or something. So it could be like she wasn't pushed out, but things reached a point where they felt like parting ways was the best course of action. But it's really hard to say. Also, Fafnir, at least in my universe, is an evil dragon who was slain by a knight by the name of Siegfried. Oh, okay. Cool.
Different mythology, different religion.
Suiran is a Asian
or Chinese, more
Asian dragon, not exactly East dragon, not really a Western dragon. The Western dragon can be said even a different kind of dragon family.
Yeah. Oh, what are we discussing?
Oh,
otherwise, right now we are discussing Reincarnated as a slime.
Yeah, we've fallen off track again. We should get back to slime.
Now to segue into that, Veldora is a Western dragon. Ooh, nice.
Oh, correct. Yeah.
We're back in Tetra.
Now Rimu can't hear him because he ate him. And let that be a lesson to all of you at home. When you eat a thing, you can't talk to the thing anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Now I feel like this should have been common sense, but just in case, better we pull out the information.
And so there's a couple things. There's a couple like really good lines. Well, one line that I really like in the English version, and one that I'm like, this can't be this can't be true to the Japanese.
The actual line?
Yeah, this has to be another example of they decided to take some liberties here. This isn't a problem I ever faced, but thanks. No problem. We're here to help. So one line I really like so Rimu encounters the goblins, which first off, I really appreciate that the goblins are like, for lack of a better way of putting it, humanized. They're sympathetic. Like these aren't like generic goblins. Although it did make me think
D&D monsters
it
type
did
goblins.
make me think, man, won't a crossover between this and Goblin Slayer be super awesome?
No, that would make it so bad because it's like, oh man, I cannot compare these goblins to something Goblin Slayer would want to destroy. You know.
That's true, Vegeta. They can still talk to people they fuse with.
No mix.
So
actually, I like what Roku said. You can talk to the food that you ate, but it might not talk back.
I like the fact that he said it might not talk back.
Yeah, Roku's had instances where it has.
Like there's a possibility that it will talk back.
Anything's possible. Oops.
Yeah.
So okay. First off, so he tries to talk to the goblins, and he goes way too loud at first. To which one of the goblins says, "Spare us from your all-powerful voice," which I love.
I remember that one. Yeah. I remember that one. In the Japanese one, they just says like, "Please control your volume."
Yeah. I like "Spare us from your all-powerful voice" more.
Also, it says "Doka koi o shizumete kudasai." So like, just draw back the power of your voice is what he means by that.
Okay.
Yeah. So please be quiet is what he says. Shut up.
Yep.
So that's an example of where they changed the dialogue, and I like it. An example where they changed the dialogue, and I didn't particularly like it too much, comes later, about 18 minutes in. So this is the part we mentioned it earlier, how Rimuru, after absorbing the dragon, now is exuding a powerful aura. And that's what led to, because when the goblins first see Rimuru, they're like, "Oh, you're like a powerful beast masquerading as a slime, clearly," and to which and once Rimuru susses out from them that that they're talking about like the aura he's exuding, he has the thought, "Aura? What's he talking about? Is that like magic BO?"
What? No.
Is that what they say?
It might be something similar though. Give me 1 second.
Oh, really? That would be awesome if it's similar.
Because I have the scene here right now. The English, I'm not really listening to the dialogue, but the English subtitle just say, "I don't recall emitting anything like that."
It wouldn't be like
and then
shocking to me if the
the
Japanese is the dragon hasn't showered in 300 years. I mean, that checks out. Look, when you're stuck in a cave for that long, you start to forget about things like showering. It's just not.
Okay. That was later on after he asked the great sage.
Oh no,
about...
yeah. So he goes like, "Ora, そんなものを出す覚えはないよ." Is basically just like, I don't remember releasing anything like that.
Okay, so what I'm noticing is in the English version, Rimuru is a bit more sarcastic than the Japanese version. Also, despite being a 37-year-old, Rimuru in the English version talks like he's 14.
There's a scene not far from that after saying that, not remembering emitting such a thing. He asked the great sage to give him an objective view of the aura he's putting out. And the great sage gives him that view, and you can see this aura just like pulling out. Now this is the English subtitles on the Asian Netflix.
Right.
It says, It's as if I'm walking down a busy street with my fly open.
Yeah, pretty much. Yes, that's exactly what it is.
That's what I said.
Okay. Actually, I think the English version made mention of a line like that too. This is afterwards, right?
Yes.
Yeah, afterwards.
Okay, let me see. Oh wait, no, it's not magic BO. He says it's that like power BO, which is even better. So okay. So he sees like the aura that because he's interested, so he like does a magical scan on himself to see what the goblins are seeing, because he's in the goblin village now. They're asking for his help because they think he's a powerful being. He's a powerful being. So he does the scan on himself to see what they're seeing, and he sees this magical aura, which is like visually like just this purple miasma just exuding from him. Mm-hmm. And he says, "This is so bad." Hang on, what does he say after "this is so bad"? No wonder the goblins were groveling back in the forest.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Then he just goes on to, "You noticed, huh? How wise of you." So wait, does he not make any mention of that?
The Japanese version actually has a mention about busy street with a fly open.
Yeah, so he says, no wonder the goblins were so scared.
Actually, no. Sorry, I went earlier in it. Earlier in it, he says, he delivers the line, "I feel like I've been walking around with my fly wide open." So actually, he does say basically the same thing.
He just yeah.
It just comes a little earlier in the dialogue. Yeah, I had to go like 2 lines earlier to get to that. Okay, so yeah, that line is in there. Which, good on them, because I can't imagine that line translated easily.
No, I'm pretty sure it doesn't.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was like leaving it on as like, and then he got to the part was as expected of the elder. What kind
yeah. He once he realizes that the see him as this powerful being, he decides to put on a bit of a front. And then he like, even though he mentions internally that he doesn't really care what's in it for him, he literally says, "What's in it for me?" And I just make a note here: the knowledge that you saved the village, for one. But the goblin villagers do promise their undying loyalty. And it just occurred to me now that I never actually talked about why it is that the villagers want his help in the first place. It's because for the same reason those adventurers came in. Now that the dragon's aura isn't keeping the monsters in check, the monsters, specifically this like gang of wolves, has decided that they are going to they've been starting to pick off these goblins, and the goblins' strongest warriors have already fallen to the wolves. So the goblins in this village are like basically desperate, and then they see Rimuru, and they basically plead with him for their help, and they're saying they're saying now, like, "Look, if you can save us, we will dedicate ourselves to you. We will, I don't know, build many statues in your name or something." We're
gonna swear our loyalty to you, is what it says.
We'll swear our loyalty to you. There'll be like a Rimuru day in the village and whatnot.
By the way, these are dire wolves. So
dire wolves. Sorry. Yeah. And then I believe does the episode end with us seeing the direwolves? I don't think it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, the episode ends with Rimuru saying that I, Rimuru Tempest, will protect you, and then I've decided to grant your wish. And then goblins gasp and they all bow. And they're like, "Thank you so much, Lord Rimuru. We're eternally grateful. And from this day forward, we will be your loyal servants." Yeah. And that's the story of how I became the leader of the goblins and their guardian. So, and that's how the episode ends. Cue ending credits. And yeah, that was episode 2, which, like episode 1, was paced super well.
Yep.
There really wasn't any downtime. I imagine part of that comes from it being an adaptation of a web
Light novel.
comic / light novel / manga. So the probably part of the reason why it's paced so briskly, which I'm enjoying, is because like they have a lot of ground to cover.
Yes.
So
I got a question, because if you see the credits and the ending, right? They have like this runic kind of writing first before they change it to Japanese to the Japanese writing.
Okay.
I wonder if they created a whole
Writing
handwriting
system?
for the series. Yeah, writing system for the series
Potentially.
before doing that.
So this is kind of and I'm glad you like the translation talk.
Yeah.
Because I'm super interested in translation talk too.
Wait, Zombieland Saga has season 2. God damn it, I'm behind again.
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta catch up.
Yeah.
So what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So in relation to like wondering if they created like runes and stuff, there are actually people whose job it is to create languages for entertainment media. Oftentimes, like they're not fully fleshed out languages; they're just language enough to serve the purpose. Because like all languages have like certain rules to it, and then some rules kind of change, like the placement of verbs to nouns and that kind of stuff, like sentence structure, those things, how the language uses sounds, like the spelling of the language, if it's sound based, if it's character based. So there are people that specifically make these languages. A lot of them, Roku, aren't functional. Some of them are. Some of them are just functional enough. So
By the way,
yeah,
I'm pretty sure most people already do know that Token's Elfish is actually a functional language.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Another functional language,
and also,
although it's not as functional.
Klingon.
I was going to say Klingon is a functional language, though not as functional as one might think. Because, well, it is a language, it's missing a lot of words that you would have in common use.
Yeah, its vocabulary is not as extensive enough to actually make it as a conversational thing.
In fact, one person, as kind of an experiment, though calling it an experiment feels really cruel, because this was something that they did to their kid, and that makes it sound even worse. But it's not as bad as I'm making it sound. Here's what happened. This guy decided to teach their kid as they were going through like the early stages of their life, so like the ages of like 1 to 5, teach the kid both Klingon and English at the same time. And the kid, so like the kid didn't have like any like particular inherent preference to one or the other, because they were speaking both. However, the kid, as they grew, quickly favored English more and more, and the father theorized that the reason why the kid preferred English was just because it's a more complete language. Like there's a lot of things that you can't say in Klingon, so it was just easier to speak English, even though the kid was perfectly fluent in Klingon as well.
Right. That makes sense, because you're missing words.
Yeah. Also, from a practical standpoint, even if the kid could converse with his father in Klingon, I'm sure like any friends that he had didn't speak Klingon. So it's
exactly.
Like you get a far more use out of being able to speak Klingon than English.
Now, in truth, though, the kid only just realized how much of a nerd the father is and decided to go into more English rather than Klingon.
Yeah. He just like looks the kid. He looks the father dead in the eye one day. He's just like, "Dad, you're such a patak."
You're such a patak.
Yeah.
Kachak or something.
Yeah.
That's hilarious, though.
Father, you are like a targ to me. So yeah.
That's actually pretty interesting, like as a social experiment
Yeah.
to see if you teach like say that you get like a whole classroom of kids to
Mhm.
teach Klingon when they were like just entering school, right? And then then you'd have like this whole classroom of kids of 20 or 30 kids being able to speak this language that's like an alien language that was made up by a science fiction writer, right?
Mhm.
And then would that make it easier for them
Well,
to accept it as a conversational language and not go towards English when there's more people that are able to speak the same thing?
Interesting that you
You
bring that
know?
up, Asu. And this kind of
Mm.
relates to Kichi's point too. There is actually something of an example of that. I can't remember which country this was. So there was a country that that didn't have any like specific school system slash help for deaf people. Like they didn't teach sign language and stuff. So eventually, so like in the country, deaf people like were kind of got by on a case by case basis.
Mhm.
So so finally, like they decided to take all those deaf kids and they put them all in a school together to teach, with the idea that they were going to teach them sign language. And then they found out that that the kids aren't actually like learning the sign language as intended. Instead, the kids started to develop their own completely unique sign language amongst themselves, because each one of them was bringing in different things from their life, and it started out fairly simple. So like you point to a thing and like that would be what you want, or like if you wanted to say orange, for example, you might make a circle and things like that. And then over time the language got like over time, being like over the course of years of these kids learning this language and refining this language, and like a second generation coming in and learning the language and adapting the language, it became more and more refined and more fluid and more complete.
Interesting.
Yeah, and the problem was that because
thank you for visiting me.
Oh.
Would you like a cookie?
Thank you, Sylvia. Did I pronounce that right?
Silvana.
Thank you, Silvana, for the follow. Thank you. So the problem was that the teachers couldn't speak what the sign language that the kids were doing, and they actually had to get a linguist to come to the school and basically interview a lot of the kids and kind of decipher the language that the kids had made. And that's
amazing.
And that's when they started learning about the rules and the evolution of it, because they could interview the kids from different generations of the language because it was evolving so quickly. And so that they could actually find, because the older kids would sign in different ways than the newer kids, because the newer kids would be more adaptive to the changes that the language was going through. So it's one of the rare examples of a language kind of forming naturally in a modern setting. I'm trying to find like the video on it. The problem I'm running into is the guy who made the video on it has two different channels. One is called Wendover Production, and one is called Half as Interesting. I think it was a Half as Interesting video, but I can't remember when he made it.
Okay, you can post it on Twitter afterwards.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
We are running like 3 hours and 30 minutes into this.
3 hours and a half already.
I was like really worried that even with 2 episodes to talk about, we weren't gonna have enough to go over. But I didn't factor in the joy of tangents.
The joy of
the
tangents.
joy of tangents.
if it's okay to answer, we call our system Terran system. But I never heard Star Trek ever use that phrase. They just say we're from Earth. Why don't they use the name Terran system? Actually, occasionally they will refer to the Terran system in Star Trek, though you are correct that Star Trek uses Terran system a lot less than other sci-fi
series.
Yeah. And I don't really have an answer as to why that is. I think it's probably mostly because we mostly follow things from a human perspective, even though it's Star Trek. All the captains are human. Like, a lot of the main characters are human, so we tend to hear about it from a human perspective rather than hearing aliens talk about Earth, where they would be more likely to call it the Terran system. Modern Hebrew is actually another excellent example of a language being spontaneously used as a native language and overcoming missing pieces. That makes sense. And we should... Oh, hydrate. Okay. We should probably be wrapping things up because, as Sweetram pointed out, we have been going on for 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
Do either of you have any closing thoughts?
Continue watching Slime.
Continue watching Slime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really liking it so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've watched off season 1, and I can say that it's very, very enjoyable.
Yeah. I'm looking forward...
The whole series.
I'm looking forward to watching more of this. And I want to thank you guys.
Oh, another part I want to also put, one thing that I really like about Slime is that it feels optimistic, which is another reason why I like it as well. It feels optimistic.
For an episode that started with the main character being stabbed, this is a very upbeat anime. And actually, it started with with a village getting bombed, followed by a character getting stabbed, but it's very optimistic despite that.
Yep.
And happy. So I'm really enjoying it so far. And
I'm glad you are.
Yeah, and Kichi, I think we're probably going to put this somewhere because it is a podcast.
So we're talking about episode 1 and 2, Silvana.
Yeah.
We were talking about episode 1 and 2 of season 1. Yes.
Yes. This podcast was specifically for episode 1 and 2 of season 1, and thank you guys very, very much for joining us for today's first VTuber Anime Night Podcast that took place in the morning for Asu and Sweetram.
It's fine. It's good.
Yeah. So
what matters is that we enjoy our time.
Yeah. I have been lurking while working for most of the stream and haven't been able to hear everything, but thanks for the stream. I really enjoyed it. Thank you. And thank you too, Roku. I'm glad you guys liked the stream. I had a lot of fun doing this with Asu and Sweetram. Thank you both again very, very much for doing this.
I did have a thought that I was like thinking, what if we finish in half an hour? It did not happen.
Yeah. I was worried about that too. I'm like, I mean, how long could we really talk about 2 episodes for? It turns out a long time.
A long time.
A long time.
Yeah, a very long time.
Indeed.
I don't know how much of that was actually us talking about the 2 episodes, but that's fine.
I mean, we covered majority. We
went through the 2 episodes. We just talked about a lot of other things along the way.
Exactly.
Yeah. This was fun. So thank you. Do you two have anything you want to promote or say before we wrap up?
I guess for my case, the past 2 days I haven't been streaming, but mainly because I was, for lack of a better word, feeling lazy. But tonight I am tonight, which is your tomorrow morning. I am planning to stream myself here on Twitch because my subathon is still on the way till Sunday. Yeah.
How far off are you from getting the eye reveal?
The eye reveal was still 65 points away.
Okay,
so still a long while away.
Yeah, but within reach.
Within reach, yeah.
And then people will find out when you said eye reveal, you didn't mean EYE, even though that's what you spelled? I meant eye reveal.
As in I reveal an eye.
Yeah.
The letter I.
Yeah.
Here you go, guys. This is my letter I that I have.
Look at this
under my cape.
beautiful letter I that I drew.
It's from the word justice. It's an I in justice.
Yeah.
You know, justice is an I.
Come back next year to participate to get the C reveal.
The C reveal.
Yeah.
And then people are gonna get a whole C instead. SEA.
Yeah, it's like Mega Man where you have to spell out the word. I don't know if you guys. I'm assuming you got that reference.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, cool.
It's the code. It's the code in the game.
Yeah. What about?
But yeah, that's about it for me. Yeah, Sweet Instant.
Yeah.
I've got nothing.
Oh. Well.
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry, like I'm just doing like sometimes. Okay, one thing. I've discovered the interesting thing called what's it called? The Twitter
Space. Yeah, the space.
Spaces.
I
thing.
don't know what that
Twitter
is yet.
Spaces.
What is that?
It's actually very interesting.
What it does is it's basically a it's
Almost
like
a live stream.
how do I say this? It's like a what do you call it? It's like Clubhouse. Do you know what Clubhouse is, Pending?
Oh yeah. That's the you
The app.
I did send you an
Yeah,
invite for
yeah.
it, right? Didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's basically Clubhouse, but on
Oh.
Twitter instead.
Oh, that's really
Mhm.
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll have to check that out then.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I've decided. So I'm doing some sort of what do you call it? Like just readings, just reading stories and stuff on Spaces, on random, just for no like I have no set schedule for it, but I did, and unfortunately there's no records of these, so it's just whenever
they don't keep
you're available to, there's no archive. Whenever you're available to listen to me ramble on, but I was doing the Tales of Beetle the Bard last time, and at some
Oh.
point I will do something else.
Mm.
I have no idea what book I'm gonna read next, but it shall be something.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we'll look forward
Yeah.
to that. And let me get your Twitter so that people can follow you.
Follow Sweeren's Twitter.
Yeah. Follow Sweeren's Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come for the really adorable profile pictures. Stay because she's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that like the like smug chibi Suiren profile.
Oh.
Yep.
It's great. So yeah.
I mean, I gotta ask something about the Twitter Spaces. Is it an
Mhm.
app of itself, or is it like in the Twitter app on the phone? I mean,
It's the Twitter.
Me too.
It's in the Twitter app.
it's a Twitter app. Okay,
Mhm.
can't find it in the Twitter app.
Oh. You know the sorry, give me 1 second.
No worries.
Let me open. So you know the new thing with Twitter where you can post like pictures on the on the top. It's like the what do you call it? Like you can put a picture and then you can add a video, like add a
Oh, like those stories, like
yeah,
those
the
stories.
stories, yeah. So if you click on the stories to add a story and scroll scroll to the last tab, it's it has spaces.
Maybe I need to update my Twitter app. Huawei phone.
Can you
just makes everything harder.
see stories though?
That's the thing. I can't see stories myself. But like I said, it's a Huawei phone. Huawei phone is because of its disconnect with Google, just makes it so hard.
So just Oh, that's right. Haha. That might be the case. But I don't know. How about you, Pending? If you click on your home page, like the home button
on Twitter.
On Twitter.
Okay.
Click on the home button, and then on the top row are like a bunch of people icons with like a blue circle around it, and yours at the very beginning with an ad sign.
The blue oh yeah, okay, I see that.
Yeah. If you click the ad sign.
Okay.
And at the bottom there's a text camera roll, capture video, and spaces. You can just like slide it over to spaces.
No, the last one on mine is video.
Really?
Yeah. You have an iPhone, right?
I have an iPhone.
I have Android. I wonder if it's only out on iPhone so far.
Yeah,
that would actually would that
tell
make
you.
sense? Maybe it's rolling out for iPhone first, and then it's coming to iPhone, Android after.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that would be interesting if that's the case.
I
Yeah,
know, 'cause that's what it is for me.
Interesting. Well,
I wish we could give Surin headpats without losing our hands. Nope, you're not just gonna be losing your hands. You're probably gonna be smited as well.
So let me, as a matter of course, let me actually, how would I do this on my? Because my first thought was, well, let me open up because I have an iPad. So I'm like, okay, well, let me see what the Twitter app's like on my iPad. But the iPad has an entirely different, like, whatchamacallit?
J-Man, you're able to listen to them on your PC, but you're not able to join them, are you? I don't think.
Yep. You can listen to them on a PC because that's how I listen to Suiren's spaces reading, but I cannot participate in conversation.
Yeah. You can listen to it, but you can't join them.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to look into this more. It sounds interesting. I guess maybe it's not out everywhere yet, or more accurately, it's not out on all the apps yet. All right, well, but it sounds promising. And I'm glad you're having fun with it.
I'm having fun with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of things that I think you can do with it as a content creator.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
But anyways, yeah. So that's my sort of something. I can't remember what
Follow
I was
her on Twitter.
Yes.
Follow her on Twitter out of the possibility of hearing Surin on doing some readings on spaces, pretty much, kind of thing.
Yes.
Also follow her on a Twitch in the rare moments that she might come back to streaming.
In the rare moments that I might come back to streaming, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah. Like, I'm probably gonna be reading like children's stories and stuff.
Really interesting.
Mostly probably children's stories. Or
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yep.
Yeah. So follow Suiren on Twitter and Twitch, and for new stuff in the future, and follow Asu also on Twitter and Twitch and YouTube as well, because Asu also streams on YouTube. Although you said like your next stream's on Twitch.
Yep, my next stream's on Twitch.
Yes. So yeah. By the way, one final closing note. Asu, when you're not talking, you're looking down and you're upset.
Oh yeah, that one's a new thing that I put in.
Yeah.
Just to have like this sort of like when I'm not talking, I'm brooding, but when I'm talking, I'm happy.
I see.
I see.
Yeah. That's fair.
Oh, thank you guys. Thank you guys again so much for doing this with me. I am pending. This is you're presently on my Twitch. Thank you for being here. I hope to see you guys again soon. And
Yeah.
yeah. So until next time, bye bye.